Facebook under new fire after that stunning testimony from a whistleblower who claims the company stokes division and harms children. Coming up, how CEO Mark Zuckerberg is responding.
Then, are you among the many millions watching Squid Game? It's all anyone's talking about these days. On track to become Netflix's biggest show ever. Joe Fryer is going to show us why it's become such a huge sensation all around the world.
Plus, we've got an inspiring story about a young woman sharing her love for surfing and giving back to her community.
All right, and it's Wednesday, which of course means it's also Trends Day.
We love that. That's when we break down all the hot topics with our friend Justin Sylvester. So, Mr. Melvin, it's time to hit play on
Today in 30.
We'll start with NBC's senior Washington correspondent, Hallie Jackson. Hey, Hallie, good morning.
Hey, Hoda, good morning to you. You know, this is the first time that we are hearing from Mark Zuckerberg since Facebook's whistleblower revealed herself. And in his full-throated defense of his company, he calls it difficult to see coverage that he says misrepresents their motives. His statement, coming after that former employee who left Facebook armed with a trove of documents, delivered testimony that united lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, now calling for new, tougher regulations. New this morning, the Facebook founder's forceful defense. Mark Zuckerberg, in a lengthy post to his staff, writing, "I think most of us just don't recognize the false picture of the company that is being painted." His rebuttal to dramatic testimony from a former employee.
Facebook's products harm children, stoke division, and weaken our democracy.
Zuckerberg, never mentioning by name whistleblower Frances Haugen, who painted a damning picture of Facebook and its products.
The company's leadership knows how to make Facebook and Instagram safer, but won't make the necessary changes because they have put their astronomical profits before people.
Zuckerberg writes that's just not true, calling it illogical to suggest Facebook's algorithm promotes hateful, divisive content, as Haugen suggests. Quote, "We make money from ads, and advertisers consistently tell us they don't want their ads next to harmful or angry content." And he called it difficult to read the mischaracterization of research into how Instagram affects younger people, with Haugen saying Facebook knows that app can be toxic for teens.
And in the end, the buck stops with Mark.
She wants Congress to act with new regulations. And Zuckerberg, who's appeared 4 times on Capitol Hill since last summer, says he does too, but still not much action yet.
What's changed is Ms. Hogan and her courage.
You think she's the tipping point?
I think she has allowed us to get under the hood of Facebook.
So what's next? It's possible Congress could establish more muscular federal oversight for big tech, require platforms to share with regulators their proprietary algorithms, the code that determines what posts pop up in your feed, or change something called Section 230, which now gives broad immunity to tech companies to instead perhaps hold them liable for the way their algorithms promote content. And as it relates to big questions about how companies should think about social media and kids, like how to balance teens' privacy with parents' oversight, Zuckerberg defers to lawmakers. He writes, at some level, the right body to assess these kinds of trade-offs is Congress. Craig?
Our senior Washington correspondent, Hallie Jackson, for us. Hallie, thank you. Joining us now is Kara Swisher, who's been covering Facebook for more than a decade now. She's also the host of the Sway and Pivot podcast and a contributing opinion writer for the New York Times. Kara, always good to have you. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks, Craig.
So we heard from the whistleblower yesterday calling for regulation. We've heard from Mark Zuckerberg on a number of occasions calling for regulation. I talked to the head of Instagram last week, said they welcome regulation. What should that regulation look like, Kara?
Well, it's very complex. It's not just one piece of regulation. Everybody's been calling for different things. There's a couple things that look pretty smart. One that looks a little disturbing is a new data agency, which I think many people are worried about, and using terms like Ministry of Information. That's something that's problematic at best, especially with the government involved in content moderation. But there are some things like data privacy. There's issues around hacking. There's issues around the research that Facebook does that should be available to researchers so we can understand what's going on in there and begin to give recommendations of how content should be moderated in some way. But it's definitely true. Both Mark Zuckerberg and Frances Haugen are saying the same thing, is that Congress has not stepped in once here to do anything about all these problems, and they shouldn't be the ones making the decision. In that, Mark Zuckerberg's completely right.
Well, why do you think that is? Why do you think that despite Zuckerberg appearing on the Hill 4 times since last summer. There have been a number of hearings like this without Mark Zuckerberg. Why do you think lawmakers have failed to act so far?
Wow, that's a big question. Why have they failed to act in so many areas? But in tech, they can't decide on lunch up on Capitol Hill at this point, I think. So I think it's really, there's been legislation in California, in some of the states, obviously abroad, but our Congress has yet to pass a national privacy bill. A lot of these things have to do with what users know about their information, know about what's happening, and things like that. And our Congress has failed to act. And I guess they just don't get along. I'm not sure what's happening. There's some great legislation by Amy Klobuchar. There's a lot of Republicans that have put forth some great legislation. They just have to get together and pass some of it piece by piece. But it's not a single thing like stop Facebook. You cannot approach it this way. And it's also not one company, even though this company gets a lion's share of the attention because it's the biggest. And so I think just beginning with, for example, mandating that researchers are allowed into and see Facebook's information would be one way, instead of having people like Francis throw it over the wall, and then it becomes something else that's not systemic in terms of how we deal with these problems.
Access to those proprietary algorithms.
No, access to the data.
Okay.
Access to the data. No, not necessarily that, but how things work within Facebook and what's happening. That's one tiny little way, but there's dozens of different things we could do to mitigate it, and Facebook knows how to do it. They did it before the election.
Kara Swisher, always good to have your insight, Kara. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate. Is this going to work, or is this going to backfire? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
In a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Is that ready? Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
We are back with Carson. We turn our attention to the most popular show on Netflix.
That's right. We're talking about Squid Game, and it's become an unlikely streaming sensation. NBC News Now anchor Joe Fryer is here to fill us all in with a little closer look.
All right. Yeah, so full disclosure, kind of like Al mentioned a moment ago, if you had asked me about Squid Game a few days ago, I probably would have guessed it was a reality cooking competition focused on calamari and other seafood. It is not even close to that. Think polar opposite. It's a Korean thriller. It's violent. It's dark. And it's on track to become the most watched Netflix show of all time. Now, here's more, and don't worry, no major spoilers.
게임에 참가를 원하지 않는 분은 지금 말씀해 주시길 바랍니다.
Whether you're watching it in Korean with subtitles or with the English dub.
Red light, green light. The thing we did as kids on the playground?
Let me repeat the rules.
I think that's what you said.
Squid Game is a universal hit. Netflix predicts there's a very good chance it's going to be our biggest show ever. That means surpassing the current #1,
Miss Daphne Bridgerton.
A vastly different show, the whimsical British period drama Bridgerton. Squid Game, on the other hand, is a dark dystopian tale. It centers on characters who are in debt and playing a series of children's games, hoping to win millions of dollars. But if they lose the games, they lose their lives. 9-episode series released less than 3 weeks ago has already sparked all kinds of memes and viral TikTok videos. And with Halloween approaching, squid-inspired costumes, including those green jumpsuits, are selling out fast.
How cool is it that this show right now is just so big?
It's been really a wild ride that I'm so happy to be a part of. And it's really become a global phenomenon and put Korean contents, on the map.
Mickey Hyun with the Korean Cultural Center of New York says it's just the latest example of Korean content finding global love. From Parasite winning the Best Picture Oscar last year, to K-pop bands like BTS dominating the music charts.
It has familiarized and brought a lot of attention to Koreans and the Korean culture in a very tangible way.
Now a runaway hit about games for kids that's anything but child's play.
Hanging in the castle with Hoda, hanging amidst the gallery wall, dancing in our dresses, trying to impress us, singing a coda with Hoda.
Wow.
That should be your podcast theme song.
Oh my God.
Like flip that into 10 seconds or something.
That's so
create a
smart.
little opening.
That's why he's that.
Oda animated.
Impromptu ditty
piano.
there from the composers of the unofficial Bridgerton musical.
Very, very cool. The wildly popular Netflix series and pop star favorite, by the way, inspired the duo to write an entire album based off the show.
All right, that's right. And within hours of their songs being released on iTunes and Spotify, they were topping the charts. I was recently granted audience with the young women behind the music. Here's Bridgerton's Lady Whistledown with the story.
It's a season for elegant ladies. Reputations dictated by the Queen.
Fair viewers in the know have heard Bridgerton is Netflix royalty. All those dashing lords and ladies, the technicolor gowns and casting have attracted fans across the globe.
So guys, what is it about the Bridgerton genre that y'all love so much? What captured you?
I mean, it was the cast, it was the chemistry, it was the characters, the drama, the romance, everything was great.
Lady Hoda's new friends have become viral sensations in their own right. She took a turn about the grounds of New York's historic Lyndhurst Castle to discuss their latest passion. This tale begins with a TikTok. No, not that kind of TikTok. This kind.
What if Bridgerton was a musical? What a beautiful party. I'm looking up at the ceiling a lot.
You took a little song that you wrote and you put it on TikTok. It was like, bye-bye song. So tell me what happened.
I think it was probably a couple of hours afterwards, I started getting comments like, oh my gosh, yes, we want Bridgerton to be a musical, yes. Immediately after I got a big response. I think
when you say big, what do you mean?
It was like a couple 100,000 likes, like within a few hours. So I texted Emily.
And I was like, I had the same reaction as the rest of the world, which was a resounding yes.
I got a text 45 minutes later that was like a fully orchestrated verse of what I had just written.
Not entirely shocking a feat for Miss Emily Bear, who was, after all, a child prodigy, even holding court with the Queen.
Wow.
Queen Ellen, that is. And young Abigail Barlow dreamed of a recording career. But alas, until Bridgerton, the two could not break into that society.
What kind of no's had you guys been up against?
She was doing things for scoring. I was, doing pop music, and I got ghosted by like every major label.
When you know you're talented, yet everybody's saying no, like what did it do to your confidence?
It made me want to give up. I was looking at record label receptionist jobs right before I wrote this.
And we were very, very frustrated of hearing the word no a million times. So we're like, let's stop waiting for someone to give us that chance and just do it ourselves.
Promise we'll never be oceans apart.
When we did that online, we kind of skipped past the no because the audience was right there.
Should have known.
Love that.
A plague sweeping the land. Maestros Abigail and Emily produced the entire album from their chambers via something called social media. And social media was smitten.
You were giving people a peek inside. How were they reacting?
Oh, they were honest about their opinions. You know, they didn't hold back if they felt very strongly about something. And I think it helped because it was basically like workshopping a show.
We found a very, very special corner of the internet. We found an amazing community that was just so full of love and joy.
If this is what you call a honeymoon, pacing around our separate rooms, running from my elaborate ruse, we're doomed. Please forgive me your grace.
As Abigail and Emily created their masterpiece, fans added their own touch to the affair. Thousands lent their voices.
I'm on my own now.
Others designed costumes, choreography, and everything in between.
Do you know what is an accomplishment? Attending university. If I were a man, I could do that.
But if I were a man, I'd go to Japan, maybe swim in the sand.
In the show Bridgerton, women are clearly second banana. Tell me about the parallels you see.
I think it's a little ironic how many parallels there are to the woman today because, I mean, the song, If I Were a Man, people love that song because it is still so relevant today.
We felt like we were struggling in this very male-dominated industry to get our foot in the door, and through this project, we really made it happen.
I need to sit with that because that may be a lesson for women of all ages.
We've shown them that you don't have to get the word yes in order to make your dreams come true.
Have you heard from any of those no people since?
Yep. If I were a man.
Though Netflix blessed the concept album and literally millions of fans approve, Bridgerton on Broadway is still a fantasy.
Oh my God!
For now, the ladies will have to bask in the glow of their current success.
I'll always care. Balancing the scales.
Can't wait for a few more years when I can say, I knew them first.
Hold up, we love you.
As for Broadway,
Perhaps one day Lady Whistledown will step in and work her magic.
Controversy in South Lake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In prime time and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
This morning, we're taking our series Grit out onto the water.
Surfing, synonymous with Southern California, but the sport has historically been seen as off limits to the Mexican-American communities in and around Los Angeles.
Until now, thanks to a grassroots nonprofit organization called Los Courage Surf Camps that's committed to teaching others to hang 10.
My
My surf journey is a story of what I thought was never possible for me. I'm a little brown girl, born and raised in East LA, and growing up, I never even knew a surfer that looked like me.
Growing up, Giselle Carrillo says the ocean felt like a foreign place. Her hardworking Mexican parents saw riding waves as a dangerous waste of time.
The first time I went surfing, it was a flush of really heavy emotions. Growing up, I never really learned how to swim. I went to the beach maybe twice in my entire life, even though I was born and raised in LA. Once I got into the ocean and actually did something I never thought was possible for me, it was this total strength that I'd never really felt before. And so the sense of self-belief that I could feel right here in my heart was just blooming and blossoming.
She took that feeling and in 2017, along with 2 friends, founded Los Courage Surf Camps to share it with kids from the barrios of LA.
Today, you're gonna feel something really bright inside of your heart. It's called courage. If you love the ocean, you're a surfer. Si amas el mar, eres un surfeador, okay?
Every summer, the organization hosts free surf camps in partnership with experienced volunteer coaches from schools like AquaSurf, along with nonprofits like the Surfrider Foundation.
If the nose is sticking up in the sky, that means you're too far back.
I know no one in my family or my wife's family have ever surfed, so it's definitely a new experience for our kids.
I mean, I grew up looking at Surfer Magazine. You don't see pictures of guys that look like me. You see blonde-haired, blue-eyed, girls in bikinis.
While the beach boy stereotype might not include Latinos, veteran surfer John Acevedo says the barriers are mostly in the mind.
And surfers don't care what you look like, how much money you make. All they care about is you have a passion for surfing.
Los Courage camps aren't just for kids. Adult beginners, Jenny Lopez and Leah Chavez, say this is a safe space for them as well.
I think we both realize that we're in the mental health field, so this is mental health. This is what it looks like.
It felt incredible. I see the kids, they're so fearless, and I felt some fear out there, like thinking a little bit too much, being hesitant, but I'm still proud of myself for giving it a shot.
We started with 2 surfers at our first camp, and every single time it's grown exponentially that I think at this point I've probably taught about 150 kids and their parents to surf.
Surfing has a steep learning curve. It can take years to get past the novice stage. But for women like Giselle, it's about more than simply standing up on a board.
The best moments I've had surfing are the moments where there actually aren't any waves and it's just me, my surfboard, and the water. And the sense of oneness, the sense of believing, the sense of feeling safe in something that is really vast and unknown, and just being present. My hope for Los Courage Camps is that this is the last generation that looks around and says, hey, that surfing thing looks cool, but it's not for me. No one looks like me, no one is from the same neighborhood as me, and I want to bring surfing back to my people.
I love that. Absolutely, to try something new. Los Courage Surf Camps is just one of many nonprofits working to teach all kids who might not otherwise be out there, if you will, including the Black Surfers Collective. One of you guys did that story.
Yeah,
you did. And the women's group Textured Waves. Giselle says she's found the surfing community as a whole to be pretty welcoming to her and the students. It's kind of a laid-back community anyway,
exactly.
So they're like, you know what, come join us.
The more the merrier.
Absolutely.
Cool story.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
All right, now there's something we love to do every Wednesday, and let's check in with this guy. Our pal, Justin Sylvester.
Hey, Justin, there you're in California at the E-Daily Pop
he's
Studio.
He's feeling some Roker.
Hey
Are
now.
you feeling some Roker?
Al Roker, I had no idea you were a rosé drinker. Welcome to the fraternity of roséers.
Oh, yeah, Whispering Angel, baby.
Oh, we're going to brunch. We have to brunch when I'm in New York.
Look at you. You got brunch. It's a verb. All right, so talk to us. Adele's got new music we want to hear. Can you play some?
You guys, no more speculating. No longer do we have to say rumor has it because Adele has officially announced her return. She posted a teaser video for her new single coming out next week. It's called Easy on Me. Take a look at this.
Oh.
Wait, okay.
That's it?
Wait, what?
Now look, judging from the makeshift U-Haul, the acoustic piano, and the black and white filter, I think we can all rejoice. It's got to be a breakup album, right?
Maybe. I know that's what you want. But isn't she in love? Isn't she with somebody?
No. This sounds like she is going through it, and she's going to give us every inch of it. And it would be on trend because Casey Musgraves' this recent album was a breakup album. Even Kelly Clarkson's latest Christmas song, Christmas Isn't Canceled, Just You, is a breakup album.
Wow, a lot of people
Everyone's doing it.
Okay.
Now,
So how are
this is
people
making
reacting?
waves in the music industry because last week, Taylor Swift, out of nowhere, pushed the re-release of her Red album a week earlier than planned. Coincidence? I don't think so.
We think not. No, we think not. All right, let's talk Super Bowl because this is big. They got a great lineup.
Unbelievable.
You guys, Gen X is getting a halftime show where they can embarrass all their millennial kids by singing along to every single word. We have Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar were all announced as headliners for the Pepsi Super Bowl halftime show. Now, I love this lineup. It's so West Coast through and through. But I gotta say, I know it's supposed to be a celebration, but I like my Mary J. Blige a little sad. Am I wrong?
Well, maybe she could do a duet on the Adele album.
No, maybe she can. Now, there is some breaking news. I am hearing that they're adding a sixth performer.
What?
An icon to the lineup, okay?
Okay.
Now, you know him from Waitress. He will be singing his hit single, Your Neck of the Woods. It's Al Rosé Roker.
Wow, you kind of had me there. You had me there. I think they actually want people to watch.
Oh, my gosh.
Al, you are an icon. Now, for everybody out there, I got some real good news for you.
Okay.
What? Snoop Dogg said that they haven't locked in their set list yet. So if there's anything you want to hear, you can drop a comment on any of these social media handles here. If you're a gin and juice kind of girl, if you want to drop it like it's hot, if you want a little family affair, let any of these people know, and they will add it to their lineups.
By the way, it's going to be good. Are they going to? Do you think they're all going to perform together at some point?
I think they're all going to come together, and we're hearing that it's going from 12 minutes, which is the standard for a Super Bowl halftime show, to 20 minutes.
Wow.
I was wondering how they're going to fit everybody in 12 minutes.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Well, Al, you should know. You're the sixth performer. You tell us. You have the inside scoop, Al.
They're obviously not pumping enough oxygen into your studio.
By the way, I love the shot.
I do.
By the way,
I do.
I think we're going to keep that. We'll screen grab it and send it out.
Justin, it is so nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too, you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Justin. We'll see you soon.
That's right. Don't forget and catch Justin weekdays on Daily Pop on our sister network, E!
Okay, we hope you're back with us for another great morning tomorrow on Today. Jamie Lee Curtis, she'll be here. We can't wait to catch up with her about her new movie.
Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Bye.
Thanks for joining me at Today All Day. I love sharing Cooking with Cal videos with you, but I've also gotten the chance to interview so many fantastic people across our country wanting to make a difference in one person's life or change the world for the better. Here are a few of my favorites. Enjoy.
Welcome back. This week we are launching a series called Collectors about people who find unique or extraordinary things. And we're starting with one that is guaranteed to make you feel like a kid again. I always feel like a kid, to be honest with you.
But I loved this one so much. A couple weeks ago, I got the chance to wander around a treasure trove of childhood memories tucked away in Cheshire, Connecticut. Take a look.
This really isn't about trying to make money. It's really to bring joy and happiness to people, and that is worth everything.
One step into the Barker Character Comic and Cartoon Museum, and you're transported in time. The converted barn houses memorabilia for kids of all ages.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness.
Jerry Barker is the museum's owner.
My parents, Lori and Herb Barker, they started collecting toys in the 1950s, 1960s.
How were they collecting all of these toys?
Whenever we went on a family trip, as kids, and going back in the day, we would drive in the car. My parents would stop at every tag sale out of the way, buy all the stuff that you could possibly imagine, pile it on our laps. That's how we would travel.
What started as a hobby is now a collection of more than 80,000 antique toys and childhood artifacts, one of the largest in the United States. Jerry and one of the museum's docents, Karen St. Clair, took me on a private tour.
I'm looking around here and just, there's so many toys I didn't know existed.
This is actually one of the first ones.
Oh,
the oldest one, actually.
Oh my goodness. And how old are we talking here?
From 1873.
Oh
yes.
My goodness.
It actually is a ramp walker, and you put it on an incline, and it actually walks by itself.
Wow. It's like the original Slinky?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So what else do we have here?
One of the great things in here is the tube of toothpaste, which was a milk of magnesia flavored.
Oh my goodness.
And unfortunately, it's in a lead casing, so it wasn't very safe back in the day, but it's a very cool piece to have.
Well, I found Waldo. There's even more upstairs. You know, most people come here looking for a certain toy, but then you find so many others that you totally forgot about until you actually see them.
Definitely. That's why you have to come more than once. You can't just do it all in one day. We have some guests that come in and they're here for 15 minutes and like, oh, they'll be back.
No.
After the tour, I walked around on my own and ran into someone I hadn't seen in a long time.
Masters of the Universe, He-Man. Where's She-Ra in here? Where's she? Oh my gosh! That's the actual toy that I had with her little jewel in the middle.
For Jerry, every corner of the museum holds memories of his parents.
One day, when my father was here, when he was alive, I was in his office, and he had a mask. These were plastic masks they would wear at Halloween. And my father just spent $500 for a Freddy Krueger mask. My son, Max, 6 years old, comes in to see his grandfather, and he sees this mask, and he goes, "Grandpa, could I wear that on Halloween?" And my father turned to Max and said, "Max, I bought it just for you."
Did he wear the mask all night?
Of course he did. And my father called me and said, "Jerry, could you bring it back the next day?"
So what does it mean to you to be able to continue this dream that your parents had?
They have a passion, they have a joie de vivre about these toys and the collection. They think everybody should share that same passion and that it's exciting to everybody. And you know what? They're pretty smart because most people have a wonderful childhood, and these toys bring them back to that good time of their lives.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate. Is this going to work or is this going to backfire?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town, forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory. Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Still to come on the Channel 2 News. Well, the waters are certainly receding now.
Still too close to call.
Lester Holt reporting from Ground Zero, as it's being referred to.
It is, in fact, the taste of freedom. The Haitian people know a little something about resiliency. What's the biggest risk right now? Some of the troops who have been proud. I want to welcome you to the first presidential debate. In fact, we've been told we can't go any farther. You with some resilient folks. Let me get a hint.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
It is time now for another edition of Cooking with Cal, and my little chef and I are making a cherished family recipe straight from Sicily with help from another special guest. It's a special edition of Cooking with Cal. What are we making today?
Meatballs.
Meatballs. So we have enlisted the help of my mother-in-law, your Nana, right? And where did this recipe come from?
Well, this was Brian's great-grandmother's recipe. She brought it over from Sicily with her.
So Brian's great-nana means this is your great-great-nana's recipe. So we've got ground veal, ground beef, and ground pork. The secret, I think, is the eggs, right?
That's at the end. After everything's done, then you put the beaten eggs on top of it, and it keeps it all together.
So, where do we start? What do we do?
Okay, so we're gonna season the meat because it's very blah without it. So lots of salt, lots of pepper.
Do you want to do salt or pepper?
Lots of pepper.
Do salt? Okay.
We're gonna make this so salty.
And you're gonna do garlic powder and onion powder.
Okay. That seems like a lot. So now we put breadcrumbs in a bowl
and then just add milk. Yep.
Calvin, I have something special for you. Onion goggles. Maybe you won't cry this time.
Put your hand on the
top. Ready for parsley? Yes. Wobble, 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 wobble.
Wobble, 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 wobble.
All right, so parsley.
No, the onion.
No, it's fine. It won't hurt you anymore. We're done cooking.
Now we're going to add the breadcrumbs that have been soaking in the milk.
You are not helping.
This is so yucky. We forgot the cheese.
Oh, we did forget the cheese. All right, sprinkle that in. Oh, my hands were clean. We gotta do this again?
No.
All right, I guess I'll do it. Okay, so now eggs.
Eggs, we beat the eggs in a bowl. We use a lot of eggs because that's what gives it the fluffiness and the keeps it together.
Okay. Yes! Yes! 4. You did 5 eggs with no shells! Good job! Yeah, good job. Sure you want to get your hand in there, Cal?
So you're just gonna oil your pan, put the meatballs in, and bake them in the oven at 375.
I'm not doing all this by myself. This isn't cooking with Mommy. This is cooking with Cal.
Come back up.
What do you think, Cal? So good. All right, for these recipes and more, head to today.com/food.
I love it. And as you can see from our happy plates,
we've just been snacking and watching. It's good if you make the whole big batch. It sounds like a big recipe, but then you freeze them, you serve them to the whole family.
They're so good. And they're so easy
I'm
to
so
eat.
glad you like them. It is time for another edition of Cooking with Cal, and this time my little chef and I are making my grandmother's tried and true potato salad. It's another edition of Cooking with Cal. What are we making today?
Potato salad.
Potato salad. So this potato salad was my grandmother's potato salad recipe. It's very, very basic. There's nothing fancy in it. It's literally just potatoes, eggs, scallions, some celery, and some mayonnaise. But we top it off with this. Do you know what this is?
What?
This is called paprika. Everybody has their own technique for hard boiling eggs. Here's how we do it. So let's gently put these in the pot. 5. Let's hard boil 5 eggs, okay? So we've got the eggs in the pot. We're gonna fill this up with water, okay?
Hello.
We're gonna put them on the stove, bring it to a boil, and as soon as it boils, we're gonna cover it and then turn off the heat and let it sit for 20 minutes. Okay, so while the eggs are cooking, let's cut up our potatoes. All right, let's throw these in the pot. Yes. Add some cold water and then some salt. Okay, we're gonna turn this off. We're gonna cover it, and we're gonna wait 20 minutes. That's the worst thing you heard all day, huh? While we're waiting for the eggs and potatoes, I'm gonna chop some scallions.
Hey, mister.
You want me to chop and you eat your apple?
Yes.
Okay, good deal. How's your apple? He's got a nice little crunch to the potato salad. All right, it's been 20 minutes. Should we get the eggs? All right, I'm gonna rinse them under some cold water.
You want me?
So. Yeah. Whoa, good job.
Yeah. Any of those?
No. What's missing from our potato salad?
Potatoes.
All right, these are piping hot, okay?
Can I cut them?
Because potatoes are dry and don't have a lot of flavor, we're gonna add a lot of salt, a lot of pepper, and we're gonna add a lot of mayonnaise. Now this is controversial because some people don't think you should add cold mayonnaise to a hot dish. But I find that the warm potatoes absorb all of the yummy mayonnaise as opposed to getting all dried out. So I'm not going to wait for them to cool. I'm just going to add it all now while it's still warm. And then I'm going to put it all in the fridge. 1, 2, 3, 2. And this is the sprinkle that my mom always used to do.
And kaboom, and put it in my mouth.
You love it? For these recipes and more, head to today.com/bye-bye. So
he had to run off after eating the hot mayo.
Yeah, he always does. So you don't like hot mayo, you don't like celery, so this is not the recipe for you.
No.
And you like a mustardy-based potato salad.
Well, yours look great, Dylan. Look,
It's
you look great.
fantastic.
You look
I
awesome.
don't like relish or mustard. I like a very basic potato salad. So it's old-fashioned and it's...
I like Cal, so whatever
Yeah,
he
Cal's
makes.
the man.
Yeah.
Cal likes it, so win for me.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse
False narrative of rampant racism.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show.
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate. Is this going to work or is this going to backfire?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Controversy in South Lake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town, forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame.
This is South Lake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Todd Cast. Free wherever you get your podcasts. The Meet the Press Chuck Todd Cast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Teachers play such a crucial role in the lives of children each and every day.
They sure do. So we wanted to honor some of these special educators with our series, Thank a Teacher.
Our girl Dylan Dreyer headed back to her elementary school in Freehold, New Jersey to do just that. Were you dying?
I was dying. This was the experience of a lifetime. You know, the chance to celebrate one special teacher who helped shape me into the person I am today. Her name is Miss Maroney. And spoiler alert, she is still as amazing as I remember 30 years later. I think I am actually sitting in the same exact spot I sat in when I was here in second grade. This is as perfect and nostalgic as I wanted it to be. It smells like it did when I was here. It looks the same. It feels the same. Miss Maroney and second grade here shaped who I am. She was always kind. She was warm. She was just a woman that I looked up to. And I didn't know it at the time, but that was helping to build my foundation. And she was a part of who I would become.
I was a teacher here at St. Rosa Lima for 19 years. I knew then, the first day I stepped into a classroom, that I was meant to be there, that I was a teacher. I enjoyed being with the kids every day. You know, every day was new, and seeing life through their eyes is magical.
I had a weird obsession with Miss Maroney. You know, she was just everything. She was beautiful, she smelled lovely, and I loved being around her.
She had this big smile. Her eyes would just twinkle and sparkle and light up.
I just want her to know how special she is. Oh my goodness! Hi! It is so nice to see you.
It's wonderful to see you.
Oh my goodness. How are you?
Good. How about
you?
you?
You're just as beautiful as I remember. So are you. It's been what, 30 years?
It's 30 years.
Yeah. Do you remember me?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, when someone asks who is your favorite teacher, it was just always hands down Miss Maroney, Miss Maroney, Miss Maroney. You just had such, I'm not even a crier, but you had such an important, you played such an important role in my life, and I don't think you really ever noticed that. Just your warmth, your kindness. It's just so special to see you now at this point in my life. And just to say thank you. Thank you for just being that role model in my life. It really meant so much to me.
Thank you for being in my class.
I gave you a recorded copy of me reading Winnie the Pooh. Do you remember that at all?
Now that you say that, I do, yes.
I always wanted to impress you, and I was proud of myself, so I thought putting that on cassette tape would show you how smart I was.
And how creative you were. My memories of you were that you were very bright, you were very diligent, and very kind and loving. Your eyes are sparkling. That's what I remember, and that smile.
I'm surprised you saw my eyes back then with the size of my giant glasses. You didn't probably go into school every day saying, I'm going to make a mark on someone, but you did it naturally.
You don't know if you're touching someone in some way, but you're hoping that you are doing so and believing that you can make a difference.
we have one more surprise for you, which I think is really special. So Clorox has found out the legacy that you've had, and they want to donate $5,000 in your name to St. Rose of Lima.
Really?
Really. Brought to you by the cutest kids we could find. Welcome back. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It was so nice to see you again. Oh, I love you.
I can't handle that. And you are not a crier.
I'm not
We'll
a
go on
crier.
record.
So,
Yes.
and that just got me. It just hit me in a place that I wasn't expecting. So last week, Miss Maroney, she actually found one of the stories that I wrote her in a box in her attic. So I mean, I was obsessed with her. I would just write her stories and love notes. And there's proof of that.
I love that.
So
That
sweet.
is beautiful, Dylan. Thank you.
Our friend Dylan
Dreyer
recently landed.
Oh, get me out of here!
Knew it. We knew she was there.
Look how cute you are.
You're
adorable. It kept trying to bribe me with Calvin. I was like,
I heard you. You guys are so hard to surprise. I'm wearing a lot more clothes than I thought when I would pop out of a cake.
I'm kind of disappointed. But anyway, go ahead, tell us what you did.
Anyway, got a little carried away with the whole cake thing. But I recently went down to the Sunshine State to the cake fair, and they had layer and layer of delicious eye candy.
oh, sorry.
It's wood.
Cake lovers from around the world convened in Orlando, Florida for the second ever America's Cake Fair.
You can just smell the sugar in the air. There are so many sweet treats. These are cake creations like you've never seen before.
The centerpiece of the weekend's events, the Global Cake Challenge. At 8 a.m. sharp, 10 skilled teams of 2, each from a different country, had only 7 hours to construct an over-the-top cake creation that best represented their home country.
This is Larry the leprechaun.
At stake, a cash prize of $10,000 and, of course, bragging rights.
We came all the way from Ireland to win. They'll send us back if we don't win. That's the problem.
We have a child representing our country. She's going to be holding a pumpkin pie.
As the competitors piped, iced, and frosted their cakes, Team USA let me in on the action.
I am here to help in any way I can. What can I do?
Well, you can make us some pumpkins.
Okay, I don't know
We need some
how.
pumpkins. Okay, I'll show you real quick.
Ta-da! It's so cute. All right, we're getting to the end of this competition. You can feel the tension.
We're rushing.
We're not going to have time to do anything else.
I need to start assembling.
Finally, time was up.
Blow the horn.
Blow it?
Yes.
Oh, jeez. But who was the cream of the crop?
So beautiful.
Unfortunately, Team USA's cake didn't hold up to the competition.
So this is my team, Team USA. What happened?
She was very heavy, and our structure, unfortunately, did not support her weight. So she ended up cracking in half very early on.
But she's so darn cute.
While the judges tabulated their scores, I met with renowned pastry chef and author of Have Your Cake and Eat It. Mish Turner says she's created cakes for the likes of Madonna, Pierce Brosnan, and the Queen herself.
It was her diamond wedding anniversary cake, so it had tiers of hand piping work on. I was working on that for the best part of sort of 10 days.
Mish offered me a taste of her Skinnylicious vanilla cake, which is fat-free and dairy-free.
This just has such a good flavor.
Because those fresh fruits are moister than a jam, they've literally soaked into the sponge.
I'm gonna have an extra bite for you ladies, because it's totally fat-free.
Another sweet spot of the cake fair, the Sugar Art Fashion Show, where 14 models strutted the runway with their all-edible ensembles. Backstage, I met with the Mexican sugar artists.
This is beautiful!
Who created an edible version of Frida.
This is the typical rebozo, which is like a shawl.
No way! So this is like a giant fruit by the foot.
And finally, the results were tallied for the Global Cake Challenge, and one team would taste the sweet smell of victory.
Ireland. Because we are first place champions.
How does that feel?
It's amazing. Awesome.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate. Is this going to work or is this going to backfire? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Still to come on the Channel 2 News. Well, the waters are certainly receding now.
Still too close to call.
Lester Holt reporting from Ground Zero, as it's being referred to.
It is, in fact, the taste of freedom. The Haitian people know a little something about resiliency. What's the biggest risk right now? Some of the troops who have been proud. I want to welcome you to the first presidential debate. In fact, we've been told we can't go any farther. You are some resilient folks. Let me get a hint.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your newsfeed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Dylan, otherwise known as Cal's mom, and if you've been following me at all, you know Calvin likes to eat. He usually likes to cook in the kitchen with me too, but he is on a play date. I'm going to get dinner on the table so that it's ready to go when he gets home. And tonight's meal is baked chicken thighs with salt and pepper. It's a box of wild rice. It's a can of cranberry sauce, and I dress it up with some buttered carrots. This is as simple as it gets. First step, we're going to start with the chicken because it takes about an hour to cook. This is literally something my mom made every week. That's why I give it to Calvin, because I hope he has those same memories with it. So these are just bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. Guys, this is where it gets very complicated. Salt. Sprinkle salt on the chicken. It's one thing with Calvin I've never done is shy away from spices. I've always used salt, I've always used pepper. I think it makes food taste better. Sometimes I'll put too much pepper on it and Calvin will try to wipe his tongue off with a paper towel and say it's too spicy, it's too hot. Then I'm like, well, eat another bite of chicken that doesn't have pepper and it helps to cool your mouth down. So I really just cook this how I would cook it for myself. And if he likes it, great. If not, we'll try again next time. I put it on a rack because my mom did, but it kind of just allows all the fat to drip down into the pan and the chicken can really crisp up. I don't really set it for a timer. It probably takes about 45 minutes to an hour, but you just want that nice crisp skin because that's the good stuff. It's the shell, as Calvin calls it. Next step is the rice. I like wild rice. You can use regular rice. You can use brown rice. You can use orzo, whatever you want. I've just always had it with wild rice, so that's what I'm gonna make it with. I also just followed the directions on the package, so. Carrots. This is always a sure win with Calvin. I know he'll eat vegetables if I serve him carrots. Have you ever seen one of these? It just makes life so easy. Look at that. This is why I let Calvin use this, because if his fingers are up here, he's not by the blade. So as long as it's something big enough that he can peel, I'm a big fan of letting him try things. These are huge carrots. This part's totally up to you. If you want to slice it into medallions, great. If you want to slice it into long strips, great. Once they're in the pot, you just want to add a splash or two of water just so there's enough in there for the carrots to steam. You're just trying to cook the carrots through, and then later we'll saute them with some butter, salt, and pepper and make a nice little side dish. Huh. Really good. This is the good stuff. Cranberry sauce used to be my secret weapon because Calvin used to love cranberry sauce. So I'd put a slice on his plate, and then he wouldn't eat any more of his dinner. He'd want more cranberry sauce. Well, eat some carrots, eat some rice, eat some chicken, and you can have some more cranberry sauce. He doesn't like cranberry sauce anymore. But fortunately, he likes the skin on the chicken so much that that's my new bargaining tool. This was my plate when I was a baby, and I started using this plate just so Calvin can have the same looking plate as me. Cooking for a kid has been a fun challenge because I don't want to be having 5 different meals to keep everybody in the family happy. But I always put something on the plate that I know everyone likes, and then maybe I'll throw something on the plate that isn't a favorite, but if you eat a couple of them, you're good to go. Hey, bud. You ready to eat?
What's the shell? Shell.
The skin.
And I have to finish my carrots.
You have to finish your carrots? Yeah. What's next?
Hi, Today All Day. I'm Donna Farzan in for Jenna today. We've got a great show for you on this Wednesday morning. Let's kick it off with Pop Start. Carson shares an update for Sex and the City fans, plus a new documentary about Madonna. Take a look.
Wait, I'm sorry. I just want to see if you're paying attention. It's the best time of the morning. It is time for Pop Star.
I know we're not Sunday Night Football night in America over here, Pop Star.
I just wanted to see, because everybody was kind of chatting. Wanted to see if you were.
Okay, all right. An exciting update on the upcoming continuation series. It's called And Just Like That. Sarah Jessica Parker giving fans a peek behind the scenes and revealing when we can finally expect the show to premiere.
It's Sarah Jessica. Hello from New York City, 5th Avenue. Shooting, as we speak, the next chapter of Sex and the City, or as we like to call it, And Just Like That, with some beloved friends. But in the meantime, And Just Like That will premiere in December on HBO Max. Ciao.
So mark your calendars, because now you've got another thing to look forward to this holiday season. As she said, Just Like That, set to land on HBO Max this December. And finally, Madonna, the legendary pop star, is headed to Paramount Plus in a new concert documentary set to start streaming later this week. The upcoming film will be called Madame X. It gets its name, of course, from Madonna's 14th studio album and her most recent world tour. For the show, Madonna transforms into her alternate persona, secret agent Madame X. Take a look at the trailer.
Have you ever been to the land where you can find yourself? Have you ever been to a place where you can rest yourself?
The film was recorded at Madonna's show in Lisbon, Portugal. Madame X starts streaming on Paramount Plus this Friday. That is your Pop Star. Good work, partner.
That was good job, guys.
Pop Star that was chock full of goodness.
Coming up next on Today Talks, kitchen staples that make cooking and baking so much easier. Next.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town, forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast. Available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. Today on the third hour, essential kitchen tools that are absolute must for any culinary adventure. Check it out.
Here to help us, Elena Besser, chef and host of Breakfast with Besser on Food Network Kitchen, and some simple solutions and tools to help us prepare for the season. Scan the QR code to see her picks. Elena, it's so great to have you here in studio.
Good morning. It is so great to be here with both.
And you are starting with a kitchen staple that I don't think a lot of people appreciate.
Yes, absolutely, Al. So this is the Dutch oven. If you don't have it, I highly recommend that you get one. This is for getting cozy. We can make soups in here, stews. And this one from Lodge is awesome because it is all cast iron. So it's naturally nonstick, and it can go from oven to stovetop. If you're doing any cooking outside, it's really great for that as well. I absolutely love this. Super easy to clean.
Pre-seasoned?
Pre-seasoned.
What
baby.
makes that better than just a pot?
Okay, I like this because it's nonstick and because it also holds heat well.
Yeah.
So the situation is because it's cast iron, it almost is creating a little oven inside, so you get a really nice sear on whatever you're cooking.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So these look.
I thought it was a boomerang.
I know, right? It looks like a boomerang, and that is the style of it. But this is actually a trivet. So this is from Blomis, and these are stainless steel coated in silicone. So anytime you have a hot pot,
that's so
you're
good.
taking it right, and feel how lightweight it is. And
You know what? In the city, we don't have a lot of counter space.
No, we
and so
do
I'm
not.
always on my, even though it's granite, you just,
right,
trying
you
to put
it
towels
down.
I don't want to take that for granted.
So good.
Exactly, but this is great. It's lightweight, easy to store, easy to use.
Done.
Okay.
You can buy that right now. Look at that.
Ooh.
Easy peasy.
Scan the QR code.
Done.
I love it.
All right.
So next up, everyone should have a good casserole dish set. So these are from Staub. It is a 2-piece set. They're stackable, which I love, and they look gorgeous. They come in tons of different colors. So whether you're making that cozy apple crisp or a mac and cheese, which is one of my favorites, you can make it all in here and put it straight on the counter when it's done. Don't transfer it.
It's a nice display.
It is nice.
Really.
Ooh, apple crisp sounds delightful.
The Immersion blender.
The Immersion
so important.
blender, it is. And this one from KitchenAid is awesome because it is cordless. You can walk around anywhere in your kitchen, not worrying about how far it can go. Yes, Al.
Wait, no, Al, I was just bragging on this chili that you make, the lentil chili.
Yes.
Don't you use this?
I do. Just to get a little bit of a smooth base, I puree some of the lentils.
I love it, and that is key. So this one also comes with a little cup for pureeing smoothies. It's not just for soup, and we made a beautiful potato leek soup here, and I'm going to have all of you try, which I'm really excited about.
I'm excited.
And let's make sure that we serve this potato leek soup with this ladle. The ladle is a 5-ounce capacity. Every kitchen should have a ladle.
Yes.
And here's the deal with this one. If it slides in the bowl, there's a hook that will make sure it doesn't go all the way into your
Wait, I don't have my readers on. How much is that? 30, what does that say?
37, I believe.
38.43.
Oh, 38.
That's nice. That's really, and it just looks nice.
It looks beautiful.
That's a lot of soup.
Oh, it's a lot. And let me tell you, I specifically am giving you both a lot of soup because I love these soup bowls.
I was going to say, these are gorgeous.
Aren't they beautiful? They're ceramic and they're actually, here, let me give you some. Sorry, I'm just like ladling away. Here, Al, you can try some as well. But these hold a ton. They're actually ramen bowls.
You could actually get in here.
Right. It's for the whole family. You just need one bowl for the whole family. But what's so great is they're absolutely massive. So you can have a full dinner-sized portion of soup.
I love these. Where are these from? Listen, look at me like
West
really trying to
Elm.
shop. These are gorgeous.
Ladle.
Wait a minute.
I made you out of stainless steel.
Can you share this recipe on Instagram or something?
Absolutely.
This
and it's
is
also
really good.
going to be available on Today Food. So
That's
check
fantastic.
it out.
And for more on these products and this recipe, just go to today.com.
This is delightful.
We want to start with some really great information for your health and the holidays. This morning, we want to clear up some confusion about shipping concerns, gift shortages, whether we should even be gathering with our loved ones this holiday season. So here to lay out everything that we need to know, NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar is here. And so is NBC News investigative and consumer correspondent Vicki Wen. Good morning.
Good morning.
To both of you.
Yeah.
So let's start with you, because, I mean, there's been already some confusion over the CDC's holiday guidance. They put some guidance out, then they took the guidance back. We're still waiting on new official guidance from the CDC. But do you think it's going to be as strict as it was last year?
Yeah, it was quite a kerfuffle, wasn't it, this weekend? So I think if you are unvaccinated, the guidance is not going to really differ all that much from last year for obvious reasons. And, when the CDC says it's safest to be with your household, better to be outdoors than indoors, wear a mask even if you're vaccinated inside in a crowded space, they are technically not incorrect, right?
Okay.
So I think we're going to hear a lot of those same things. I also hope that they really push for this idea of testing. We've talked about this on the show a lot. PCR a couple days before you go, rapid the day before you go, rapid when you arrive, that kind of thing, just to sort of cover your bases. And I think at the end of the day, my message is always the same. It's all about risk tolerance.
Okay.
If you're vaccinated and you're traveling, but you can infect someone you love, you think twice, you're a little bit more vigilant.
There are a lot of people who are waiting on FDA approval on boosters if they got the Moderna or Johnson & Johnson. What's your take on that? I mean, it seems like that's the new thing now. Have you had your booster yet?
So good news or bad news if you're the FDA and the CDC, because you have a very busy month coming up in October. Next Thursday, the FDA is meeting to discuss boosters for Moderna. Next Friday, they are talking about the Johnson & Johnson Johnson booster. Also next Friday, something I'm really looking forward to listening to is the mixing and matching studies, right? We're all going to hear about what kind of information we're going to get from that. Also, October 26th, Fda is meeting for 5 to 11. All of this is happening. And by the way, the CDC always follows in short order after that to make their recommendations. Bottom line is this. All this stuff is happening this month. If everything gets the green light, people are getting boosters and have enough time that 2 week after that second shot, right before Thanksgiving, and certainly right before, the big holiday season in December, which is kind of amazing time.
Yeah, we like that. All right, speaking of holidays and shopping, Vic, this is where you come in. We've been hearing all about shortages. There aren't trucks to drive the stuff. There's stuff out in the harbor. We can't get it.
Yeah.
Are we going to just need to manage our expectations as to what we're going to do when it comes to those gifts and things that we want for the holiday?
If you listen to one piece of advice from me this holiday shopping season, it's to channel your inner Al Roker and get it done pronto. Okay, that's number one, first and foremost. The good news is 350,000 jobs to be had because there is a worker shortage. So if you're looking for a job that's temporary that could turn permanent, now's the time. Also, the forecast is very rosy, 7 to 9% increase in holiday sales from last year. We are looking to spend. Americans are ready to blow it out this holiday. But 3 months out from Christmas, everything from appliances to apparel in short supply. Over 80% of retailers surveyed by KPMG say they are somewhat or very worried about supply chain issues. So this is something.
Is that going to jack up prices?
Well, it's probably not going to give us the kind of deep discounts that we're used to. You will see sales, but perhaps not as many promotions because they don't have to do it. The demand is there. The supply is not. Nike, Lululemon have also said that they're going to pull production from some Asian countries, Vietnam, for example. And you've got Costco, Target, IKEA, Walmart, all chartering their own private vessels to try to ease some of the burden. So they're finding creative ways to get us what we want. But get your stuff now.
Speaking of deals, I mean, I understand there's some pre-Black Friday deals this year already?
Yes, absolutely. So Best Buy just this week announced a new program called Total Tech. It's $200, but if you are buying electronics this season, you might want to look into it because you are going to get first crack and member prices on hard-to-find items like those gaming consoles, those things that people are always running around like, I can't find the Xbox or the PlayStation. Well, this might be some insurance against that.
So you have to pay?
It's like a Prime membership, but it's $200. It comes with extra warranty protection. You get a longer time to return your gifts, but yes.
You look askance, but I'm going to tell you, when Dell is old enough, or the kids are old enough, and they want that Nintendo that's coming out or whatever,
and you can't find it,
so you got to pay the $200 on top of the cost.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. This is a members only situation.
What's the price of the happiness of your children?
I mean, not $200 for Greg.
$99.99.
Let me tell you one more thing about Amazon, which I think is really cool. If you are a Prime member, this is probably like the laziest gift giving thing. But if I have your cell phone or your email, I can send you a gift, and I don't even have to have your address. You enter your address, or you say, "Oh, Vicky Wynn's giving me a gift. I actually would rather have a gift card instead."
No way.
You opt for the gift card. I would never know. So it's sort of a win-win. Look into that.
Wait, you don't know?
I don't know that you didn't
want
my
the money
scarf I was sending you.
That's a win-win from Win.
I know, right? So that's new this season as well.
Thank you, Dr.
All right, that was great.
Yeah,
that was really good.
You just helped me do some Christmas shopping.
Yeah,
right.
Thank you,
You
Dr.
can
Natalie.
switch it and they'll never know.
Thank you,
All right,
Vicky.
thank you, guys.
Coming up on Hoda and Jenna, there's still time to vote on the outfits Hoda and Jenna will be wearing on Thursday. Just ahead.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate. Is this going to work or is this going to backfire? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Welcome back. Today on Hoda and Jenna, Al Roker joins us to celebrate National Orange Wine Day. Take a look.
Speaking of cute moments,
Yes.
I'm not kidding, an hour ago. So Haley has been looking at certain things and trying to copy the letters. So this is what babysitter just sent me. It's hard to see, but Al, you can. It says,
Al Roker, you look so much better in person. Haley, the title of my book. And a little Al and a love. Oh my gosh.
she copied this morning, she saw your book, she copied the title of it, and she wrote it down. So I just thought that was so cute.
so
She loves
sweet.
her some Al.
I love her.
Okay, what is normally happening with you at the end of the 9? What are you doing?
Well, I normally, go home, or I may have, something to shoot or something like that. But it's not. Listen, here's the deal, and I've always said this, and my dad always corrected me. But I said he drove a bus for 8 hours a day. New York City traffic. Back then, bus drivers had to make change.
Oh my God! So he did that too.
He did that. He worked 8 hours. We come in early. People are very nice to us. We're in air conditioning.
Yeah.
Generally, the crew likes us.
Generally.
Depends on the day. That's why I bring in donuts. Hard to hate the big guy if you bring in donuts. But that's
So you just don't complain about stuff.
No. I mean, look, some days are longer than others, and you work. But again, we are so fortunate.
Did your dad think you had like a real cushy job?
No, he was. He would always correct me because I said, I'm not like you, Dad. I don't work for a living. No. If you're being paid, you're working. And he said, don't sell it short. So look, like I said, this is one of the greatest jobs in the world. We've met some of the greatest people, gone to some of the most amazing places, and we're still.
How did you know your dad was proud of you? Did he tell you, or?
He was. It was my first job. And he was proud. He was proud of all of his children. But I always remember my first job in Syracuse, New York, and they gave me business cards. Now I'm the weekend weatherman.
But you need
I brought them home,
legit.
and I'd forgotten them. And about a week or two later, I start getting phone calls at my desk. It's like, hi, how are you doing? I'm so and so. Just giving you a call. After about 5 or 6, finally I said, why are you calling me? He says, your dad's handing out your business card on his bus route and said, give my son a call. Like that's going to help boost the numbers or something. So I'm getting calls from all these, because my dad's on the B35 Flatbush Avenue bus route, handing out, there's my son, he doesn't work, he's on TV in Syracuse, give him a call.
How cool is that? I mean, how cool is that?
That was my dad.
All right, so and since you're here, we decided to have a little orange wine.
I'm so excited about this.
October 6th is National Orange Wine Day. I didn't know orange wine. So what is orange wine?
Well, it's white wine basically, but it just depends on how long they leave the skins in contact with the wine. And it's been around for a long time, but it's just gained traction, I think, in the last year or so.
What kind of wine do you like? You can have anything.
I like a rosé. I'm a rosé guy, but this is, look at this. Not a fan there?
I don't know. Try this one. Maybe it is good.
Now this one, I think maybe you'd like this one better. Let me slide this one.
Okay, let's try that. I think I just had a mint, so that can kind of wreck it.
That could do it.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a sparkling. I like this too.
Yeah, I think, you know what? Don't have a mint before wine.
Okay, but I'm a big orange wine fan. That was the big go-to this summer.
Was it really?
It was.
You're very trendy. Al goes to the opera. Al drinks orange water. Like you got it.
You'll get some of the best naps at opera. But I will say, we just went to a Fire Shut Up in My Bones at the Metropolitan Opera.
Okay.
It is the first opera that was written by an African American, performed at the Metropolitan Opera in 135 years in the history of the opera.
What?
And it's based on Charles M. Blow's book, Fire Shut Up in My Bones, the New York Times contributor. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And completely, it's opera, and yet it's real.
Get it? Could you understand what was going on?
And what's great is you don't have to look at the subtitles. When you go to the opera and they're singing German or something, it's not Russian.
What it is? And there's subtitles? I've never been.
But it's fantastic.
Oh my God.
Let's go. You'll love it.
To the opera?
We'll go to the opera.
Okay. All right.
You'll get a nice dress. They've got this great restaurant there called the Grand Tier. So you go to dinner before. You go to dinner before,
and then you go.
And you go. But here's the best part. The best part. Intermission. You come back to your table and you have coffee and dessert, and then go back into the theater.
Or you can go back home.
Or you can go back home.
Out the door. It's Tuesday, so we do everything every Tuesday. Today's Wednesday, but they help us pick our outfits out. So we just want to see if you can help us out. So these are our choices. Mm-hmm. These are the ones for me.
Okay.
A, B, or C. Of those three, what would you choose?
Well, B is like something you would normally wear.
Yes.
C is interesting, but I don't know if that's going to look great on television. I think I would go with A.
You'd go with A. Okay, good. All right, let's see what what of Jenna's pick. So he says A for me. So Jenna's got A.
C looks very school teacher. And which Jenna is very proud of what she does. B looks like something Jenna would normally wear already. I would go with A.
Look at you. Okay, so we're going to see if you chose right. Yeah. Tuesday, and
guess what? For next week, I'm picking your outfits.
You're choosing?
I'm choosing your outfits.
Oh, my God.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be cute.
Yes.
Okay, I'll look forward to that. All right, so here's the thing. So George Clooney is married to Amal.
Sure.
And Amal wants so badly to watch his Batman movie.
She should not. She should not. And if he's smart, he won't let her.
Well, she's begging him to, and he says no, he does not want her to see
because
it.
She will look at him, she will never look at him the same way again. Did you see it?
I can't remember. I thought
you'd remember. It's the worst Batman movie ever made.
Why?
It is horrid.
Is it?
It's the only Batman movie that initially seeing it, I left.
You left?
I left. It's just horrid. George Clooney is so many things, and he could have been a great Batman, but this movie just
wasn't it?
Awful.
I'm shocked.
I mean, you couldn't understand a word Arnold Schwarzenegger was saying as Mr. Freeze. What?
But you didn't.
Who knew?
All right, so this is what George Clooney says. I want my wife to have some respect for me. That's why he does not want her to go.
There you go.
But you know what I love when it comes to watching, let's say you on TV.
Yeah.
Deborah does watch you.
Well, here's the thing. Because she's tired.
Does.
She does watch because then I hear about the things I've said.
Well, Deborah is always the first one to text when Al steps across the line. And sometimes you do.
Every now and then.
And Deborah texts you, pull it back, pull it back.
Yeah.
And sometimes sometimes you take something and she thinks you take it too far.
Of course.
So what do you do when you get the Deborah text?
Well, I always figure, it's live TV. There's nothing I can do about it now. But what I do love is she's my biggest protector, if you will.
Yeah.
Because every now and then Melvin will make some age joke, and she'll text him.
She'll text him.
Oh, yeah. She says, you better knock it off.
Back off.
And he'll go, oh, I got a text from Mrs. Brooker. Yeah. Oh,
By the way,
she will come for you.
She is a fierce defender of Al and his biggest cheerleader, but she does jump on you when. Right. Remember your orange glasses? She didn't dig them.
No, she was not thrilled about it.
She wrote
but I still wear them.
I know. There's that.
Today Talks continues after the break.
Do you feel like the bad guy in this? Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in? Has it been worth it to make this trip?
Do you feel like you're giving a green light to politicians?
How do you explain why your case has become so important?
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your newsfeed to life. Streaming live every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
With more than 12 million Instagram followers, oldest son of Victoria and David Beckham, a love of cooking for all time, but really honed the skill during the past year and a half, getting us a little help from Dad as well.
Look
Pretty
at
cool.
You. Oh my God, I love watching you do your thing. Today, Brooklyn showed us how to make one of his favorite steak dishes, quesadillas. Brooklyn, hey honey, how are you?
I'm great, how are you?
Okay, we're very upset that your fiance couldn't be here. We know that there are all these COVID restrictions, but how is engaged life, by the way?
It's amazing. It's so crazy. I love it, honestly. Yeah, I really do love it.
Was she like a love at first sight person? You both probably were.
Yes. Yeah?
Oh, well, congratulations on that.
Does she like to cook as well?
No, but I always cook for her. I always cook for her.
That's all you need. Roker, you're like that, aren't you?
Yeah,
in your house?
I cook in the house.
Cooking. Joel does the cooking in my house. You do the cooking in your house. So what's like a typical dinner that you would cook for your fiance?
She loves fish.
Yeah.
She loves salmon and steamed vegetables.
And you just so basic stuff. She likes it.
So that's why you're here doing steak.
She also loves steak. She also loves steak. Yeah.
All right. So where did you get your cooking skills?
I've always been into food. I've always been a bit of a foodie. I've been lucky enough to try amazing food. And obviously, my dad loves to cook. But obviously, lockdown hit, and I just fell in love with it. You know, having a glass of wine, just making food for Nicholas. So it's a lot of fun staying inside.
Really
so
cool.
let's get started. I love this.
Yeah.
Ooh,
what do we make it? A steak quesadilla?
Steak quesadilla.
Okay, so you got to get the right piece of meat. That's important. How do you know what to? Do you just pick whatever?
Yeah. I mean.
You go with whatever you got.
Yeah, you go with whatever you got.
Is this like a boneless ribeye?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you put it on both,
I like it really salty.
You do?
Yeah,
Nice.
I do.
Get a nice crust on there.
Let me know if you need any assistance.
Amazing.
We should do a full confession. Your finger did get a little cut when you were cutting that ribbon.
It did a little bit.
Just a tiny bit.
It did a little bit.
It's a little, so I'll be your helper.
Amazing.
Can I be your sous chef? You want me to put it in the pan?
Yes.
Okay, with this, I use the tongs?
Yeah, sure. Put it away from you so the oil doesn't splatter back. Yes.
There you go. Ooh,
amazing.
Like a pro.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Very impressive.
I haven't done that much cooking in a month.
Very impressive.
Thank you. I feel good.
Before you cook your steak, Brooklyn, should you let it get to like room temperature first?
Yes. Actually, it's been sitting for like 5 to 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes. Keep it nice room temperature.
Yeah, and cooking at the right amount of time is so important.
Of course.
So how long do you let it sit in that pan?
It's on really high heat, so like 4 or 5 minutes.
4 or 5 minutes.
4 or 5 minutes.
Like
yeah,
that.
I like it really cooked.
You like
on
it
the
cooked?
outside.
Oh, you do?
But very rare on the inside.
Crust.
So I should just leave it for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the one that's been cooking for a bit.
This is the one who's been cooking.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, do you do anything with that juice, or you just leave it alone?
So so you put butter, bunch of butter in, a few garlic cubes.
Oh yeah. See, this is a Roper
and
meal.
rosemary.
Stop it.
There you go.
And
Simplicity unto itself.
So you just leave all that to saute around?
Yes.
Careful. Okay.
So leave.
Okay. Got it.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh.
The rosemary, the garlic. How great is that?
Brooklyn. Why are you named Brooklyn, by the way?
No idea.
Okay.
Honestly, I have no idea.
Have you ever been to Brooklyn?
Yeah, I love Brooklyn.
All right, good.
My favorite pizza place is in Brooklyn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's called Lucali's.
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
I guess they could have called you Staten Island. So this one. no diss to Staten Island. You know.
Oh, nice.
And then you base it to get the most flavor in there.
Look at that. So you just look at that.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's your favorite food?
You know what? I like a salmon like your fiance does.
Okay.
Joel does a great salmon on the barbecue, on the grill.
And then how are we going to slice this up
I
to
guess
get
we have to keep going.
Amazing.
Okay, I'll leave that alone. Okay.
Quesadilla.
Do you want me to help you slice?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So you slice it on like diagonally.
Okay. Okay. I might be the next person cut. So.
Perfect.
Thin?
Perfect.
Oh my God, did you
Oh
say
God, you're so good.
Thank you. This looks super yum. Okay. We brought all the beauties up here to try. So what else do you put on it? Al, what are you doing?
Just so we don't have to move in the back.
Okay.
So you put a bunch of cheese.
A bunch of cheese.
You want to do the cheese?
Oh, sure. Well, this is my cooking segment. Thank you, Dylan, for making me feel
This worked out pretty well.
Oh, thank you.
Is that good?
Yeah. No, that's perfect.
Okay, perfect.
I mean, it depends how much you want.
Perfect.
Then you put the steak
Put
however
the
you
steak
want.
however you want it. Okay, I'm just going to put it on there. Oh, look at that one. Brooklyn, this looks so yummy. Do you put it all over or on one side and
On
flop
one
it?
side.
Okay, and then you just
Then-
flop it over?
Yeah.
And then you just stick it back in the pan?
Put it in the pan. Make sure
Look
it's
at
all
this.
cooked.
Griddle that bad boy up.
Try?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here, let me get after it. Oh my God, this looks so
Cheers.
good. Cheers.
Oh.
My name is Harry Smith from NBC News, and welcome to this session of the Atlantic Festival. We're here to talk about a new series on Showtime called American Rust, based on the novel by Philip Meyer. And joining us now, Jeff Daniels and Dan Futterman. Jeff, you know, Dan, you know, for lots of different reasons, not the least of which is Dan's amazing role in Birdcage and being the incredible screenwriter of everything from Capote to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Jeff Daniels, we think is coming back to work soon in New York, and we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. Good morning and good afternoon and good day to you both. Thank you for taking the time to chat.
Very welcome.
Jeff, how did this novel, when did it first come on your screen, and what did you think or see or feel about it that you said, let's do this?
2009, I was in the city, New York City, and there was a reading of a new novel by a new author, debut novel, a guy named Philip Meyer. My agent at the time was, down the hall from the lit department, and they were either had Philip or they were chasing him. And Paul Martino said, let's go down and hear this guy read, because Paul was always looking for books in the event that maybe my career would get to a place where I could, get something made. And so we went down, listened to Philip read some of his book, met him, bought the book, read it, and said, yeah, this is something I could do. But I was in no position as an actor to get anything done. So we just kind of kept an eye on it. And then later on, I was in the middle of doing Mockingbird, and it came back saying, are you still interested? We knew you were attached at one time. And I contacted Dan and said, do you see something in this that remind me why I'm still, interested in this? Because it had been too long. It had been almost 10 years. And Dan loved it. And that's what got it going.
There is an authenticity to this that is undeniable if you're like me from the Rust Belt. Did you see that too, Jeff?
I did. I think more so now than maybe back then. I still live in Michigan. I'm around these people. I've kind of come to the conclusion that I am one of these people, that I grew up working class. I worked at my dad's lumber company. I was level, eye to eye with these guys, driving truck, making deliveries, and their worlds and their loves and their hates and their likes and dislikes. And I think that if the acting thing hadn't worked out and I didn't meet my wife of 42 years, Del Harris there are elements of Del Harris that would have been, yeah, cabin in the woods with a dog. Yeah. John
I think I still aspire to that.
I know. John Hyman wrote a movie I was in, and one of the lines is, hell is other people. And so I related. And then now with everything the country's going through, that there are people like these people who just are near the bottom or close enough where they can see it. They're still good people. All they did was work for the steel company for generations. Their father did, and then they leave. Same thing with the car companies in Detroit. These people are just looking for somebody to tell them the damn truth and maybe get a break once in a while, so they can live a normal, ordinary life. That's what I identified with.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're going to do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Do you feel like the bad guy in this? Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in? Has it been worth it to make this trip?
Do you feel like you're giving a green light to politicians?
How do you explain why your case has become so important?
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory
Racism, it refers
False narrative.
shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today.
Let's go.
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I serve an amazing group of staff and students.
When you're confronted with a novel, as you've done in the past, or some extant piece of writing, say, all right, let's turn this into something. What was your biggest challenge, especially in this context, American Rust?
Well, the book is so good. And yeah, Jeff came to me and he said, essentially, remind me what I love about this. Because it's hard when you're developing something for a lot of years, and Jeff was in and out of that process. You can lose touch with that. So you can go down a kind of a rabbit hole. And Philip wrote this book in a kind of a first person that jumps from character to character. And so in a lot of interior monologue. And so for one, it was turning that into dialogue. And then there's a choice of what works and what doesn't on film. There's a choice of what relationships to develop essentially as they are in the book, or to change completely for various reasons. The best email I got was when Philip saw the pilot and said, wow, I love what you've done with this. I mean, what a pleasure and what a sigh of relief, because he wrote something beautiful and you want to expand on it, but you don't want to screw it up.
Right. Dan, I think, especially from my perspective, as I say, coming from the Rust Belt, I see so many portrayals of that place that feel to me as not, well, I'll just say it, feel false, feel like we're from 30,000 feet and we're looking down on you some way. Dan, as a writer, what was your responsibility to actually give voice to the people that Jeff was describing just a little while ago?
Part of it is that a lot of the stories of middle America, I guess, are told, it seems to me, from an outsider's perspective, which is not necessarily a bad thing to do. There are great shows made like that. Ozark is one of them, where people from metropolitan area are plunked down for whatever reason in a foreign land. And so it's told essentially from their perspective. That's a terrific show. That's their choice, and that's fine. This is a very different kind of show. It's an insider view of it, and there's hopefully no filter. Look, I don't think people are all that different from one another. And I wanted to try to inhabit each of the characters. As I was writing it, Adam Rapp is co-showrunner. Adam's from Joliet, Illinois, and so he was kind
ding,
of
ding, 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 ding. Yeah, wow.
yeah, he's like a truth tester.
That's that place.
Yeah, in the room. And his mom was he was raised by a single mom who is a prison nurse for many, many, many years, and so having Adam both in the room and writing scripts and doing some rewriting when it needed to be done was essential. And so there was a lot of, Adam, what do you think of this? And he'd say yes or no. Both with expanded stories that we did and with dialogue that was written from events in the novel. So
right, yeah.
People are people, and then also Adam is a huge.
For those who don't know, Joliet is home of Stateville Prison, and all you need to know is Stateville Prison to know the rest of the story.
Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today.
Let's go.
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory
Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you feel like the bad guy in this? Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in? Has it been worth it to make this trip?
Do you feel like you're giving a green light to politicians?
How do you explain why your case has become so important?
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today.
Let's go.
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
Jeff, I need to talk to you about this police chief you play, because he acts like he's the moral compass of this town, but at the same time, he's absent true north on his compass.
Sure.
It's very interesting because there's a scene in the show where they're in the medical examiner's room, and there are all the lines of all the bodies that have been collected, and the cause of death is drug overdose, drug overdose, drug overdose, drug overdose, drug overdose, and then finally a homicide. There isn't anyone, it seems to me, who's in this that isn't compromised in some way by drug use or drug abuse.
It's everywhere. Part of what I did to kind of get to that authenticity, I read countless books about the American overdose was one. I saw Alex Gibney's, Dan and I worked with Alex on Lewing Tower. I saw his documentary on the opioid crisis. It's there. It's there. It's the receptionist at the real estate office who's dealing crystal meth so she can put her kid through college. You know, you're making choices that are bad in order to do a good thing. And that's kind of where Del Harris, he's trying to hang on to what is right. And yet he makes some choices on his way to getting whatever that is. And in this case, it's the undying love of a woman who's already broken his heart. It's wonderfully complicated and I think back to your point, Harry, about middle of the country and how 30,000 feet looking down. They're just simpletons. They aren't that smart. and they deserve what they get. And that's not the people I live around in Michigan, and it's not these people. They're still good people, and they're still trying to hang on to a decency and a civility and a respect for each other, and trying to do what's right in a world full of wrong. And that's what got me really interested in playing him. The other thing too is we did an acting thing on this, which helped. We didn't want Hollywood polish. We didn't want it to be that thing where it feels false. We want you to feel like you're a fly on the wall. We want the actors to forget the camera and just talk to each other. And so there was an acting approach to this that really kind of non-rehearsal, bare staging, you know where you're going to go, roll camera, and it happens in front of the camera. When it happens in front of the camera, you're connected with each other, which is different than leaning towards the camera in a close-up and beautiful lighting, even though you're in the middle of Southwest Pennsylvania.
Can I say just something? Can I say something just about the drug? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I'm going to bring up Pennsylvania again, because Pennsylvania ends up being a major character in this whole series. But go ahead, Dan.
Oh yeah.
I just want to say something about the drug use. There's a line in the pilot where the judge says, everybody in the hollers on one thing or another. To me, this is a comment not just about illicit drugs, and it's a comment about America generally. I mean, what he's referring to, he's on diabetes medication. He just injected himself in the stomach with insulin. Grace is taking Advil. I am on 2 different medications, one for heart condition and one for seizure disorder. My wife takes something else. I bet you guys are on something. It's and how many kids do we know are on some ADD medication? Or it's a comment about America, not just about this place where, yes, there's also an opioid issue. And so there have been some comments about this, and I think a misunderstanding about this, that, everybody's on opioids in the show. And it's absolutely not true. It's America has a prescription drug issue that is absolutely pervasive. And that's part of what I was saying about not looking down on this. This speaks to everywhere. This speaks to Brooklyn, where I'm living in different ways than it may speak to Southwest Pennsylvania, but it speaks to it.
It is. So let's talk about Pennsylvania for a second, because the novelist, Philip Meyer, is from the Baltimore area, but he saw some of this decline that we've seen all over the country. It's even it's rural America. It's all over the place. But he said, I don't want this in Baltimore. So he goes to do this discovery in the Pittsburgh area. And to be able to see these things, those hills, the Monongahela River, the rusted out hulks of former industrial America, from my perspective, creates its own character and gives that extra level of authenticity to all of this. Jeff.
Exactly. It's as much a character in the thing as I am. It really is. It was essential that we shoot it there, and I was glad Showtime stuck to their guns and put it there, even in the middle of the pandemic. They could have taken it somewhere else, but they didn't. And you're right. That's everywhere we point the camera, you see it. You see that character of Southwest Pennsylvania.
Dan.
Yeah, not just in visuals. And Buell is made up of a number of different towns around the Monongahela Valley, but also in the actors. We had a lot of local actors. There's a big community in Pittsburgh, a big theater community who had not worked in a long time because theaters were shut and film business was shut. And we were thrilled to have them. They were happy to have the work, and they add a level of authenticity to this that I was really delighted by.
Let me just ask Jeff one more question, because as I've said earlier, he used to have a job here in New York, and I understand. Are you coming back to that job, or do you want to come back to that job?
I am back in that job. We're 2 weeks into rehearsal of the remount for To Kill a Mockingbird that I'm doing with Celia Keenan-Bolger, who played Scout. She won the Tony for it. So the two of us have come back, and a mix of a few of the original people, some new people, and some of the people from Ed Harris's cast, who was playing Atticus when the pandemic hit. So I'm very happy to come back. I'm going to be in it for 3 months until January 2nd, and especially with where the country is now. When I did it before for a year, it was before the election, before George Floyd, before all of that. I'm real interested to see the power of the play and what Bart Shear is doing with the little bit of restaging. Aaron Sorkin's done some little touch-ups on the script. It has the chance to be as powerful, if not more powerful, a production than before, simply because of the way that we're addressing white blindness, which is something that everybody in the country is now aware of.
Isn't it something to think about a novel that was written that long ago that is, from that perspective, as current as the second it was written, and that we're still living with? And
even more so with after George Floyd's murder, it's white people are called on the carpet, and yes, this is a white point of view from the book and from Aaron Sorkin and from me. It's a white point of view, and we're doing the show predominantly for a white audience every night on Broadway, pretty much, and they're the ones who need to hear it. Some of them were preaching to the choir, but there are others that are confronting the fact that maybe they weren't aware. Maybe they should read some Isabel Wilkerson and Carol Anderson and Ta-Nehisi Coates. Maybe they should get caught up with what's really went on in America, and maybe this new America that we're all headed towards maybe I have to stand up just like Atticus Finch does in Aaron's play of the book. Maybe I need to stand up and be counted as someone who wants to right the original sin, which is, right or wrong that's been going on for 400 years.
Well, that sounds like a benediction to me. This has been a session of the Atlantic Festival. Jeff Daniels, Dan Futterman. I got some goosebumps at the end there, pal. Really good to see you both. And there's so much more that can be seen in the Atlantic Festival. I'm Harry Smith from NBC News, and we thank you for joining us.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're going to do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
And we're back with, it says, one of our favorite segments. I don't know, Steals and Deals is still my favorite, but Mr. Smith goes to... That's hard. It's my second favorite on the show.
Good one. All right, right? So this morning, this is going to be good. Harry is taking us to Tacoma, Washington, to introduce us to a family on a mission to educate as many people as possible about these untold stories of some African Americans.
So...
we're in Tulsa earlier this summer, reporting on the race massacre of 100 years ago. We're in a little community center there, and off in a little corner is just this tiny room with a couple of pieces in it, right? And kind of looking in, and here comes Bernard Kinsey. And he's just this bigger-than-life person, says, let me show you what we got here, right? And he says, but this is a tiny little sample. The real thing, if you want to see it, come to Tacoma later this summer. So we did.
Wow.
Tacoma, Washington has a beautiful art museum. The couple in this picture, it's their name on the giant sign outside.
To whom much is given, much is required, and a life with no regrets, and that's what we try to live every day.
Bernard and Shirley Kinsey are here to share their life's passion, a breathtaking collection of art and historic memorabilia.
Because people always want to know, where do you find these things? And I had to stop and think yesterday. I said, well, you know, I don't even remember how we found it. It literally found us.
What you will find inside is beautiful, evocative, rich, and revelatory. Like this signature painting by Ava Casey, a woman unshackled. On her dress, tiny inscriptions of African-American inventions.
Airplane safety device, blood plasma preserve, seed planters, corn harvesters, phone transmitters, shoemaker cabinet, just everything on here.
Right.
And then you see those, her bracelets are like shackles.
Yeah.
And now.
Yeah, and look at the story. We did not come to America because it was a better place. We came and made it a better place.
In the mural that is America's story, there are crucial sections that are blank. Between the broad brushstrokes, what's missing are details. Details that make it richer, more defined, more truthful, like the service of black soldiers in World War I.
We had 400,000 black men go off to Europe, but they could only dig ditches and bury the dead. The French government asked General Pershing to allow the black troops to fight in French uniform and French guns, French tanks, and the 369th Harlem Hellfighters out of Harlem took on the task. And they fought for 192 days and was the first regiment to reach the Rhine River.
Black history, says Bernard, is American history.
41st and 42nd Congress, 1870, black senator and congressman in the South, elected because black people could vote. In other words, in 1867, we voted. If you vote, you get this, okay? That's just that simple.
History and art that's transparent, transformative.
And this particular piece reminds me of home. I grew up on a little dirt road, in a 2-bedroom house with tin roof.
The piece by artist Huey Lee Smith.
So when I saw this, a number of years ago now, I looked at that and I said, you know, that's me. That's me jumping rope on the foundation of the house I grew up in. Didn't know where I was going, but I was going somewhere.
Somewhere was historically black Florida A&M University, where she met Bernard. Two things about Shirley caught his attention.
She's always the prettiest lady in the room. And she had such courage to get arrested during the civil rights period at Florida A&M.
And while the art collection came later, it's been funded in part. Well, listen to this.
You know, we agreed that when we moved to California from Tallahassee, that we would save her check and live on my check. And for the first 15 years, we didn't spend a paycheck.
And my friends say, oh, Shirley, that's your money y'all spending now.
The collection, or parts of it, have been displayed from Epcot to Hong Kong and seen by millions.
3 things. I hope they walk away being inspired, motivated, and a little bit more educated. I hope they have something inside, one of those, I think it was Oprah who used to call them aha moments. Like, oh, this is why that happened. This is why this is going on. This is what we can do about it.
Walk through the collection, and you can almost hear the words of poet Maya Angelou.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise.
Coming to the Kinsey Collection, your brain is going to be doing like this.
No question, you will get schooled by what you see here, but in a good way.
We are fully American.
The Kinsey's son, Khalil, is curator of the collection.
That's my wish, is that this is enriching, you know, and that people come and that they get something from it, whether it's big or small. but that they, again, leave expanded and enjoy the time.
We certainly did.
So if you were in the Pacific Northwest, you must go.
We learned something I did just from this piece.
Right? Yeah, and honestly, we're in there for hours. We're in there all day.
Right.
It gives me goosebumps to think about just how it's edifying. I mean, you get in there and there's so much beautiful to see and there's so much to learn in such a good way.
And you were saying that's just a piece of the collection.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got a lot.
I love that you're just. You're
And oh, by the way, they started with $78 in their pockets when they moved to Los Angeles.
Where is that again?
It's in Tacoma, Washington. There's a big art museum there.
Oh my goodness. Harry, thank you. So here's the deal before we let you go.
Yeah.
We know that you celebrated a big milestone over the weekend.
That's right.
So we have a little something for you.
Here you go,
you're
buddy.
Amazing. Yay! Happy birthday!
Wait a minute. What is that there? Can I?
Don't smell it.
70.
Yeah, don't smell
70.
it.
That can't be right. Turn it around, it'll say 7.
Oh. Harry is
There you go, buddy.
70 years old.
You are the skipper to my Gilligan, my friend.
Buongiorno today, all day. Who doesn't love Italian food? Well, up next on Hashtag Cooking, Saba is putting her own spin on 2 classic Italian dishes. First, a crispy breaded eggplant that's baked, not deep fried, and gluten-free. Then she whips up a vegan version of a classic pasta dish. Oh yeah, mangia.
So when I said cacio e pepe, really, I meant cashew e pepe. Huh? Am I the only one who laughs at my own jokes? All hail Italian food. I love it. Some traditional Italian dishes do have a lot of dairy, so I wanted to create some of my favorites with a plant-based twist. Today I'm going to show you how to make a breaded eggplant that uses almond meal instead of breadcrumbs in a really delicious and creamy vegan cacio e pepe. This is Hashtag Sama's Italian. Eggplant is a vegetable I kind of tend to forget about the second it enters my kitchen. So, to use up all of my forgotten eggplant that I've been finding in my fridge, I wanted to create something that had the breading of an eggplant parm, but the snackability of something like a slice of bruschetta. So, enter my breaded eggplant. The first thing that we're gonna do is slice our eggplant. Got a cute eggplant here. Just gonna trim the end off and start slicing. Here's a little tip. You don't actually need to salt your eggplant. Traditionally, you'd salt your eggplant to get rid of that bitterness, but nowadays, the bitterness has been bred out of eggplant. I'm slicing my eggplant into little slices that are about 1/4 of an inch thick. Perfect. So happy I'm using up my forgotten eggplant. It's just been sitting in there for so long. Okay. I'm gonna let my eggplant hang out here while I make my little egg mixture. I wanted my breading to have a lot of flavor on its own, so in addition to my almond meal, I'm gonna add some of my favorite spices. I'm using almond meal or unblanched almond flour for this recipe, which still keeps the skin on the almonds. I find that this is really nice to add texture and it's a great replacement for breadcrumbs. The cayenne is gonna add a little heat and the turmeric and cumin are my favorite pairing. We cannot forget our salt and pepper. What is life without some salt and pepper? It'd be very unseasoned and boring. Little salt and some freshly ground black pepper. I like that the turmeric is also gonna add some nice yellow color to this eggplant. Just gonna whisk this until it's nice and well combined. I want the breading to be really flavorful, and so I'm mixing it super well so no piece of eggplant goes unseasoned. That would be really sad. Also super bold of me to wear a white shirt when I'm using turmeric. This is how I live on the edge, okay? Beautiful. The breading is happy. Now time to beat an egg. We want to whisk the egg until it's completely uniform. We don't want any separation between the yolk and the white. This looks nice and uniform. A perfect little bath for my eggplant. Now it's time to assemble. This eggplant has really been on a journey, from being forgotten in the fridge to going down the line to flavor. I mean, lucky eggplant though. We want to dip it straight in this egg mixture. Make sure it's really well coated. Now we don't want any excess egg on the eggplant, so I'm just gonna let it drip out just like this. We want a really nice and even coating of the breading, which is why we're doing this. And now we're gonna put it straight into our breading. Into the parchment paper we go. Now we're just gonna repeat. This is a way better fate for your eggplant than the trash, I'm just saying. Last one, getting a little emotional. Don't worry about those guys though, I promise I will bread them later. We are ready for the oven. Look at those colors, look so pretty. I'm popping these in at 375 degrees for 30 minutes. Make sure to flip them halfway through. I think we all need to take a moment just to look at the color alone. Look at that yellow from the turmeric, the little golden crispness on the edges. I'm like drooling already. I really can't wait to eat them. These are perfect on their own, honestly, because they have so much flavor in the breading, but I love to use them as a vehicle for my toppings of choice. This could be a bruschetta, this could be a pesto, even just a little tahini drizzle with some salt is so good. Today, I'm gonna use a bruschetta and a pesto. By the way, you can make your own for sure, but if you wanna buy store-bought too, totally fine with me. Again, what a bold choice of me to cook with turmeric and wear white. Like, I love taking risks. Okay, gonna add some pesto. Spread that on really nicely. These would make a great app or a side at your next party, or even if you're just partying by yourself. They'd make a great appetizer for you. That's fine. We love that. We love a party of one. These are even good dipped in some marinara sauce, just keeping it super simple. There's so much you can do with them. They taste good with basically everything. For my bruschetta. And because everything is better with a little salt, I'm gonna add some flaky sea salt on top. It's gonna taste really good. It's gonna add a little bit more saltiness, but it's also gonna look really pretty too. Just a little. You know, this eggplant, this middle one, it's not sure what it wants, so it's gonna get both. Whoever gets this piece, that's the lucky person at the party. I'm cracking myself up, okay. Okay, great. Can't forget a little salt on here. This screams, you need to take a picture of me. So I'm gonna listen. And again, feel free to use whatever toppings you want. This is truly very customizable to your liking and your flavor inclination. Or whatever you see at the store that you're like, that looks good, I'm gonna put that on my breaded eggplant. I support you. Even hummus, I just thought of that, even hummus. That's what I'm gonna top this with next time. Okay, I for sure got the shot. I got like 15, to be real with you. So now I'm gonna try one. Okay, I'm gonna go for it with this little guy right here. Okay, I'm ready. I hope you're ready. So good. I'm serving this at my next party. Even if it's just me, I'm just gonna serve it to myself. I deserve it. This was so yummy. And look what we created. The colors of an Italian flag. I mean, come on, look at that. So cute. I have a question. Are you dairy-free and miss the glory days of really creamy, cheesy pastas? Well, you're in luck because my next recipe, my vegan cacio e pepe, has you completely covered. I'm gonna go get the ingredients.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends in today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready? Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Cacio e pepe is one of those dishes that everyone is obsessed with. But if you can't tolerate dairy, it's probably not high on your list. Don't worry though, I'm going to change that because this vegan cacio e pepe is truly going to blow your mind. First up, we're going to make our cashew parmesan. And yes, I did say cashew parmesan. To make this parm, we're using a base of cashews, raw cashews, and nutritional yeast for that savory, nutty, cheesy flavor. I'm going to start by adding my raw cashews into my blender. Make sure your cashews are raw and unsalted. Now for our nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is commonly used as a vegan cheese substitute because it's got this savory, nutty, cheesy flavor, a little bit of umami in there too. Make sure you buy the fortified version because that's the one that has a lot of vitamins and minerals. Now we need some spices. We've got to have a little seasoning. So I've got some salt. Salt going in. And some garlic powder. Now, all we're gonna do, because my blender is truly my best friend, is blend it all up. Be careful though not to overblend. We just wanna blitz it a little bit so we get a nice fine powder, sort of like a Parmesan. And that's perfect. That took less than 10 seconds. Let me show you what it looks like. It smells so good. It's cheesy, it's nutty, it's savory. It's kind of like a nice fine powder, perfect for sprinkling on top of pasta. This makes a little bit more than I'll need for this recipe, so you can totally store this in the fridge for up to a week, top your popcorn with it, some salads. It's very versatile. And you know what? I'm gonna make my sauce in this blender too, so I'm just gonna transfer this out, keep it over here, don't have to wash any more dishes. I'm being lazy today, and that's okay. I still love myself. This is some #precious Parmesan. Can't waste any of it. So the reason I'm starting with the Parmesan is because the parm is dry, the sauce is gonna be more creamy and liquidy, so that's why we're doing it in this order. Saving us some time, saving us some washing dishes. Now I'm done with my cashew parm. Time to make the sauce. I'm using soaked cashews to create this sauce. It's gonna make it really creamy, really luscious. When you soak cashews in water, it actually becomes a little bit more pliable and easy to just blend to very delicious sauces and fillings. Just soak them for an hour in hot water. I'm just gonna add them to my blender. Come on, you can do it. Because cashews are super buttery, they're really rich, I want something a little acidic and tangy to sort of balance that out. Fresh lemon juice, always. Now I'm gonna add my garlic. I'm using raw garlic here because I want that really punchy flavor. For that really nutty, savory, cheesy flavor, I'm gonna add some nutritional yeast into my sauce. Adding some salt. And listen, this is a cacio e pepe, after all, so we have to add some pepper. Freshly ground pepper, always. We want that bite, we want it to be really peppery and delicious and be sharp as well. Whenever I make this recipe, I skip my workout. This is it right here. A lot of pepper is necessary. Gonna finish it off with some extra virgin olive oil. And then, to help the blender move, I'm just gonna add a little bit of water, just to get the blender going. You may need to add more water later, but just check the texture of the sauce and then add more as you see fit. It's time to blend. I'm gonna add a little bit more water. Oh my God, it smells so cheesy already. I'm in love. Just a little. It looks so good. Sorry, that was a little dramatic. I have to show you this texture. I'm gonna give it one more good blend. Every time I make this recipe, I've made it so many times, but I'm always so shocked by how creamy it is without any of the dairy. It's magic. It's so good. I don't think it needs anything. Oh my God. Good for me. Okay, let me show you this texture. Oh, it's so peppery. It's like spicy almost, but still super savory and nutty. I love this so much. All right. Can't leave any sauce behind. I love a blender pasta sauce. It's so easy to throw together. Minimal prep, minimal ingredients. Look at how creamy and luscious that is. Sauce is done. Now I'm gonna go cook my pasta.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends of today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Joe Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Is that ready? Are you ready? Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends of today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Joe Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Is that ready? Are you ready? Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from The Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
now it's time to cook our pasta. I've already got my water boiling, and don't forget, we must salt our pasta water. Hashtag no bland pasta. It's not good. Okay, the water is ready for my pasta. Just so you know, most dry store-bought pastas are vegan, so if you're looking for that, great. But make sure you do check the label to make sure the variety you're choosing is. I'm using a vegan and gluten-free chickpea pasta. There's a lot of really great bean alternative pastas out these days, and I like testing all of them out. Let's talk about pasta shape. I am using a spaghetti here as an ode to the original. We've changed a lot of things already, but you know what? We're keeping it OG when it comes to the spaghetti, but you can use your favorite shape. I'm a helicopter pasta parent. You really do have to keep watching your pasta, especially if you're using an alternative pasta like a bean pasta, because if you overcook those for too long, it'll become a little gummy. Pasta is such a comfort food. In my household growing up, my parents would just alternate between making Indian food and pasta. That was like, that was all we had. It was Indian food or pasta. All right, I'm feeling good about this one. We're done. We're done. Woo! Here's what I want to do. I want to save some of that starchy water for later to add to the sauce and pasta to help thicken it and bind it. So I'm going to save some of that. Just a little for later. I love being prepared. And now I'm just going to use my tongs and transfer my pasta to my dish. And then I'm just going to mix the sauce all up. I'm really excited about it. This also keeps the starchy water on the pasta. Doesn't have far to go. Spaghetti's so cute. I love it. All pasta is cute. I don't discriminate. I love all pasta. You know what time it is. It's sauce time. Remember this? Remember our old friend, our cacio e pepe sauce from earlier? It's about to meet the pasta of its dreams. And now I'm just gonna add a touch of that pasta water just to help everything mix and combine, get really nice and creamy. Helps the sauce adhere to the pasta. Toss it together. Get the sauce around every single little bit of that spaghetti. I'd be sad if we didn't. And now, time for our cashew parmesan. Ready? I'm gonna mix some in and then I'm gonna add some on top as well, just for a little bit of flavor, a little bit of aesthetics. Just like a traditional cacio e pepe, we wanna eat this immediately. We want it to stay hot, stay fresh. So I'm gonna serve this to myself right now. Is this generous? I don't care. Am I just like, are my eyes too big for my stomach? No, you'll want to eat this much, I promise. Okay. I'm gonna cut myself off there. And now, let me just make this look a little pretty with my fork. Twirl this around. And add a little bit of my cashew parm. And by a little bit of my cashew parm, I meant a lot bit of my cashew parm. And the dish wouldn't be complete without it, some freshly ground black pepper. Okay, I have a vision. I have a vision for a really cute fork twirl photo. I'm gonna work on that. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do a video. I'm gonna do a video today. That's what's happening. Okay, ready? Okay, we got the shot. We got it. We got it. And you know what I also got? The perfect little spiral for me to eat. I'm going for it. It is so creamy. Like, I want you to know, this is so creamy. It's cheesy. You've got layers of flavor, right? You've got the buttery cashews creating this really creamy sauce. The black pepper makes it peppery, woody, it's got the sharp bite. And then that salty cashew parm, which I'm just gonna add more of for fun, really ties everything together. You really won't believe there's no dairy in this, I promise. Oh, and that garlic, though, that fresh garlic, it's so punchy. Makes it smell really good, makes it taste really good. Someone needs to hold me back, because I'll keep talking about this for the whole day. This is so delicious. I love creating these really fun plant-based twists on traditional Italian food. It's unique, it's fun, it's inventive, and it's super delicious. Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. But I'm so glad you're here because I have something I want to tell you. Hashtag Cooking is back with all new episodes, and I'm so excited to share my favorite recipes with you.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory. Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame. This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Still to come on the Channel 2 News. Well, the waters are certainly receding now.
Still too close to call. Lester Holt reporting from the
Ground Zero, as it's being referred to.
It is, in fact, the taste of freedom. The Haitian people know a little something about resiliency. What's the biggest risk right now? Some of the troops who have been proud. I want to welcome you to the first presidential debate. In fact, we've been told we can't go any farther. You with some resilient folks, let me get a hint.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
This avocado cream pasta is literally one of my most popular recipes on my blog, and I honestly think it's because you just need a blender to make this super luxurious sauce. So, the base of it is our avocados. I'm using an avocado and a half for this recipe, so I'm gonna go ahead and start with that. All right, we're gonna scoop some of this avocado out. Look at how ripe and pretty that is. Go straight in there. This avocado is what's gonna add that super creamy element to this pasta. Now I'm gonna move on to my lemon, adding the juice of 1 full lemon in here. Make sure I catch all the seeds. This lemon is gonna really make it tart and acidic and bring out that zing, make it very bright and fresh. I'm gonna add some fresh basil and raw garlic. Yes, I'm using raw. It's gonna be really punchy and really bright. And I love garlic. There we go. A little bit of olive oil, just a bit. And now I'm gonna season it to taste with some salt, pepper, and red pepper flakes. Salt in there. Add as much chili flakes as you'd like. I love spice, so I'm going in with a lot, but you make your own choices, okay? Now, just to help everything get moving in the blender, we're gonna add a little bit of cold water. Make sure it's cold because we don't wanna brown the avocado. Just a bit, and I can add more and adjust to get it to the right consistency that I like. Now it's time to blend. Perfect. It is so luxe, you will not even believe it. Look at that. So creamy. Before I add this creamy sauce to my pasta, I'm gonna grab one more thing. Just grab some arugula from the fridge. I love adding this to this pasta because it gives this really nice peppery bite to it. All right, time to assemble. Got my sauce, gonna add this into my pasta. You might think you put cream in this, but you didn't, I promise. I'm gonna add my tomatoes. Just a little burst of something sweet in with this avocado cream sauce. Now I'm just gonna mix in my arugula. What's great about this pasta as well is that you can eat it immediately, but you can also refrigerate it to have as a pasta salad the next day. We love a leftover. We love a meal prep situation. Is that too much? There's never too much. What is a portion? Some freshly ground black pepper and a pinch of flaky sea salt. That is it. But one last thing. Can't forget to take a photo. I didn't do all of this for nothing. I love this. I'm gonna frame this. I'm gonna put this on my wall. Okay, here I go. Gotta get some arugula, some pasta in there. Okay. I love myself. It's so creamy, you honestly would never know that there's no cream or butter in this. It's crazy.
We're back now with one of the most anticipated movies of the summer about an icon of television and food and traveling.
Yeah, Sven, it's called Roadrunner. It's a film about Anthony Bourdain, and it comes out this Friday. And Carson, you talked to the acclaimed director about a really complicated subject.
Yeah, I was lucky to do that. Morgan Neville's captured the essence of popular figures like Mr. Rogers. He did the film Won't You Be My Neighbor, Frank Sinatra, Keith Richards. He also won an Oscar for the movie 20 Feet from Stardom, one of my favorite about background singers in music. But in Roadrunner, he takes a closer look at the storyteller who traded in his kitchen knife for a passport and took us all along for the ride.
Hey, what's up, man?
It's one final trip around the world with TV's favorite traveler.
I'll try anything. I'll risk everything. I have nothing to lose.
Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain, follows the cook turned author turned television adventurer. From his early days in a Manhattan kitchen,
Let me take you on a notional joyride through our menu tonight.
to his last ones in France, where he died by suicide in 2018.
Our friend, Anthony Bourdain, has died.
Why do you think people loved Anthony Bourdain?
Because he was authentic. I mean, he was himself, and I think everybody felt like they knew him.
Weird that it's people of all ages, different generations, different ideologies.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a Johnny Cash type figure, somebody who appeals to, evangelicals and punk rockers and everybody in between.
Oscar-winning director Morgan Neville sat down with Bourdain's TV collaborators and personal confidants, filling Roadrunner with more than just tributes, but raw truth-telling.
There's definitely a kind of Friends of Tony crew of people who, particularly in the wake of his suicide, have all kind of found each other and reach out to each other for support.
In watching your film, it's sort of glaring how many references he made to taking his own life, even specifically hanging himself. How dark was he?
Oh, pitch black. I mean, Tony had a black sense of humor, and we have a couple of examples in the film about him joking about suicide. There were many, many more examples, and he wrote about it too, but I think people decided, oh, that's just Tony. But obviously there was something underneath all that too.
Right.
Tony was always dancing on the edge, and I think that's where he got his creative juice, but it's also where the darkness lay.
I'm going to watch you, and I'm going to do what you do.
Bourdain dealt with addiction, depression, and mental health issues throughout his life. The film explores how those at times fueled his sense of wanderlust.
There's so much talk in the film about what a romantic he was. He loved to love, he loved to live.
This is the path to true happiness and wisdom.
How do you sort of rationalize his idea of romanticism and then ultimately what happened?
When he fell in love with somebody, it was like the first time you fall in love. When he went to some place, it was like, the first time he'd ever traveled. Like, he had this deeply romantic sense of the world. And that's part of what made him so great at what he did. But it's also untenable at a certain point. Not everything has to be so on the surface and so life and death. And Tony never got that.
And the film showcases parts of Bourdain that his travel shows couldn't capture, like who he was as a father at home. What did you learn about Anthony Bourdain as a father through making this film?
I mean, he loved being a father so much. When he was home and with his family, he was there 100%. And he loved devoting everything he could. But at the same time, you know, he traveled 250 days a year. And I think there was something about that that made him feel like he couldn't be the kind of dad that he expected. And I think when he couldn't do that, that was something that just really ate at him in a major way.
3 years after his passing now, what void do you think Anthony Bourdain's passing has left us?
It's huge. It's huge. I can't think of anybody who's shown more of the world to the rest of the world on television than Anthony Bourdain. And that is
so true.
That is so valuable. He was an ambassador for curiosity.
I think, you know, when the big loss, so many of us will never get to go to these corners of the planet, you know, where Tony took us, right? And so we got to see these places through his eyes, which is, in my opinion, some of the greatest sort of curator eyes. You know, he did the things, the street food, and talked to people. It was never really about the food, right? It was always about the culture. He'd just be drinking beer going, what the hell's going on in this town? What's going on in this country? What are the people like? And we all lived vicariously through that.
And you spent some time with him, right?
Well, you know, we go to his restaurant. You know, and he was a bigger than life character. But you go and find out through a movie like this, you don't know what's going on.
Right, and that he was a dad. I mean, all these things I felt like we learned for the first time.
Yeah. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Let's go. Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year. I served an amazing group of staff and students.
Still to come on the Channel 2 News. Well, the waters are certainly receding now.
Still too close to call.
Lester Holt reporting from the Ground Zero, as it's being referred to.
It is, in fact, the taste of freedom. The Haitian people know a little something about resiliency. What's the biggest risk right now? Some of the troops who have been proud. I want to welcome you to the first presidential debate. In fact, we've been told we can't go any farther. You with some resilient folks, let me get a hint.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate. Is this going to work or is this going to backfire?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, so it's the perfect opportunity to reveal our documentary of the month. It's the Netflix series Cat People that explores the bonds between humans and their feline friends. Let's check it out. I'm a cat person. Cat freak, yeah, freak isn't really the nice way to call it, but yeah, I'm a cat person.
I've always been a cat lover.
When we were little, we only went by cat names. My mom was Marmalade. Yes. My dad was Tommy Tough. I was Stripes.
And meow, I'm passing on that passion to my girls. Last Halloween, I even transformed into one. But I'm not the only one with cat fever.
Catman, yeah, I fly, never land. Everybody knows most shows a Catman.
Netflix's brand new 6-part docuseries, Cat People, reveals the deep bonds humans share with their feline friends.
We love having cats as companions. They add so much joy and laughter to our life.
Everybody say hi to Lil Parmesan.
From cat rappers to trainers.
I taught the cats to play piano, and then I added a guitar and drums. They're the stars of the show, and they're the stars of my life.
To those who have made it their mission to save cats in need.
A lot of people euthanize the cats, but if they knew that there was a humane alternative that would also help with the rodents, I think a lot of people would be into it more.
The documentary hopes to defy the negative connotation of what it means to be a cat person.
A lot of people probably think that we're crazy, but I would just say to them, we're having the time of our lives.
And apparently, our viewers agree.
The truth is that cats are very loving. And just like any relationship, you get what you put into it. And so I believe that the relationship you have with your cat is a direct reflection of the time and love that you give them. I am definitely a cat person.
Okay, well, with us now is the executive producer of Cat People, Glenn Zipper. Nice to see you, Glenn.
Glenn,
nice to see you guys.
Glenn, I'm just going to say I'm a proud cat person. We don't
is.
need the word freak that Hoda said earlier, but Glenn, after you have done this research and this super fun docu-series, what is a cat person? How would you define somebody who loves cats?
I mean, I don't think they're very different than a dog person. They're just people that have a space in their heart that they're willing to share with a companion animal. And I think that cat people get a bad rap. They're sometimes, for whatever reason, considered weird. Maybe they're a little bit more eccentric than some dog people, but they're people you actually do want to hang out with, not weirdos.
Well, we thought it was kind of fascinating. Your career path to creating Cat People might be surprising to most. You were a federal prosecutor, but then something completely changed the trajectory of your career. What happened?
Well, I was actually a county prosecutor. I was across the river from you guys in Hudson County.
Oh, nice.
But I actually came across a stray pit bull puppy on the streets of Jersey City, which brought me to an animal shelter. And I think that was a Friday. And by Monday, I had turned in my badge to go volunteer at the animal shelter. And that was the first time I felt like I was actually making a difference. When I was working in the criminal justice system, I felt like it was more of a turnstile every day that I was walking through and putting people through. And being able to help save these animals really felt like I had a purpose on this planet, and that brought me happiness. And I said, well, I want to be happy for the rest of my life, so I'm going to do what I really wanted to do, which was tell stories. And I came out to LA, and the rest is history. And
you chose to talk about dogs first. You created a documentary about dog people. Are you a dog or a cat person? I'm going to assume a dog since you went with them first, but what did you learn about some of these cats? There's a cat rapper, there's a cat surfer. What did you learn about cats?
Well, actually, I started out as a cat person, and cats were my gateway animal, if you so to speak. And I think that the interesting thing about being a cat person is you need to earn their respect.
Yes.
If you get a dog immediately loves you. The dog says, "You got the job. I'm here with you. Let's spend the rest of our life together." Whereas with a cat, you have to earn that cat's respect. So once you have that respect, you sort of wear it like a badge. You're like, oh, this cat accepts me. This cat loves me. I must be pretty cool.
Yeah. So where did this, you have this phrase, the crazy cat lady, and people, that's what people think of. Yeah. Was your goal to try to kind of break down those stereotypes?
Yeah, absolutely. Isn't that silly, the crazy cat lady? I mean, how many crazy dog people are there out there as well, right?
It's fair.
So, and what's wrong with being crazy over these animals?
Exactly.
There's a lot of worse things to be crazy over in this world. So, for sure, and I think these episodes do exactly that. It unpacks that stereotype and it turns it on its ear.
Well, you're exactly right, and thank you so much for making sure we know that cat people are people too.
We receive it and we hear it.
You're right.
I don't have a cat, but now I'm like, okay.
You're interested.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Controversy in South Lake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town, forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory. Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
This is South Lake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today.
Let's go.
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year. I served an amazing group of staff and students.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
It's time for our Documentary of the Month Club, and if you have aging loved ones, this one you will not want to miss. It's called It's Not a Burden, and it will warm and tug at your heart.
Absolutely. AARP says nearly 42 million Americans are caregivers for older adults. This film highlights the humor and the heartache when parental roles are reversed.
It's really beautiful. Let's take a look.
Say hi to the little camera.
Oh, how cute.
Remember, you're going to be part of a documentary we're doing about aging?
Yeah, aging sucks.
Sometimes maddening, often challenging, and occasionally filled with grace and humor. Caring for aging parents is something many of us can relate to.
I just don't want to be a pain in the sweetheart, I might have to have a colonoscopy.
The new film, It's Not a Burden, takes an intimate look at the joys and struggles that come with taking care of aging loved ones.
My name is John Angelo, and this is my story, and you better watch it.
Michelle Boyaner chronicles the journey with her own parents.
Come here. Come on, Mom. It's not funny. I mean, it's like you're a breech birth or something.
As well as weaving in a mix of unforgettable families from across the country, each experiencing their own unique situations.
My name is Esther. Hello, how are you? I'm going to do a show just for you.
Through humor and heart, It's Not a Burden illustrates the universal issues involved in aging.
I put all the pills for one morning or one evening into one of these.
While reminding us what the love of family really looks like.
Our parents did the best they could to take care of us when we were younger, and now it's our turn to do the same for them.
And filmmaker Michelle Boyaner is with us now. Michelle, I loved this movie. I felt like it was universal and beautiful, and it told even though every story was a little bit different, there was grace and humor. What was it like making it?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, first of all. And my dad was just bleeped on the Today Show, so I'm so excited about that. It was such an honor to gather these stories and to talk to these families. And, you know, we just joined hands and wanted to create something that would help everyone out there that's on this path know they're not alone. And over the course of 6 years, which was a long 6 years, we all, you know, bared our souls and you know, took the jump out of the plane that you're about to take, Jenna. So, you know, it's what we did, and we're just so proud of what we've got to share with the world.
Michelle, as Jenna said, I love that you inject humor in there. Yes. We laughed several times through this piece, and I read the stats coming into it. 42 million Americans are caregivers for older parents. That's a huge, huge swath of the country. So what do you hear from those caregivers about what they want to be told as part of their stories?
Yeah, I think that no one feels like they're slam dunking this journey. Everyone feels like they're getting some parts of it, you know, not quite right. But I know that everyone feels like they're doing the best they can. And I know that they're, you know, when people hear the subject, and a lot of people kind of are concerned or cringe or don't want to even think about it. But that is also why we use the humor. Growing up, I used humor as a weapon. I was, you know, Ocean View class of 82's class clown, and you just have to use the humor. You have to hide the medicine in the banana, you know, and so that's what we tried to do with all these families. They didn't want to be placed out there and have people not want to, you know, to look away. We wanted to give people a way in, and that is why we use humor as much as we can, because you have to laugh so you don't cry. And so these families, that's what we're doing. We're kind of just joining hands and saying, yes, it can be scary, but, you know, there are light times too.
You know, Michelle, somebody on our Instagram wrote this after watching the film. They said,
the hardest thing I've ever done, but also meaning caregiving with their parents, but also the most wonderful and rewarding thing I've ever done. I would do it all again, the good and the bad, to have more time with my mama. And I think when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, in so many ways, that's what you witness when you watch this film, that there's beauty in it.
Yeah, there is so much beauty. And again, for me, I had a very complicated relationship with my mom, and would never have signed up for this ahead of time. And certainly, if I could get some of those lost years back and be able to experience that with her in a different way, I'm glad that I did learn the lesson in time, but I'm so grateful for that journey. And that is something you hear from so many people. They definitely, would do it all again. Although when you're in the midst of it, you don't think so.
Michelle, we heard in that clip the line, "I don't want to be a pain in the butt." I'm cleaning it up a little bit, but that's something
Thank you so much.
a lot of caregivers hear, and I hear it in my own life, that you have a parent who says, "I just don't want to be a burden." But I don't think we as children or caregivers look at it that way. As you say, there can be some joy in that time spent with your parents.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that when my dad was slicing up oranges and putting together kits for my brother's soccer games, he was thinking that my brother was being, a pain in the butt or any of that. And they did all these things for us. And it's like, it's the least we can do now to return that to them, So I think it's important because I think that is a universal thing. The parents don't want to take that time away from you. They don't want to become a burden to you in your life, Yeah,
well, the cycle of life in this film is just incredible. I recommend everybody watch it. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Michelle. There's hardly anyone in this country who can't relate to that story. To check out It's Not a Burden, it is available on most streaming platforms and on demand right now.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate, is this going to work or is this going to backfire? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The crime of the century. Yeah, this is an incredible documentary. It takes a deep dive into the rise of the opioid crisis, and it makes some serious allegations against the big drug companies and the role the filmmakers say they may have played in creating it. So let's take a look.
Controlled release OxyContin would be the drug that triggered the opioid crisis. But what if we discovered that the crisis started with a crime?
This is the question explored by the filmmakers of the new HBO documentary, The Crime of the Century.
If you talk to people whose lives have been touched, what does matter to a lot of these people is truth.
Directed by Academy Award-winning filmmaker Alex Gibney, the two-part film explores the causes, effects, and catastrophic fallout of the opioid epidemic.
I came out of the doctors, and there was a representative of Purdue. She said, we have a drug called OxyContin. We pick up all the costs. Just take as much as you need. I said, sounds like a deal.
According to the CDC, nearly 500,000 people have died from an opioid overdose between 1999 and 2019, including both prescription and non-prescription opioids.
You can make a lot of money getting doctors to prescribe a medication to people who don't need it.
Through court documents, stories from victims of addiction, and interviews with former employees of pharmaceutical companies, including Purdue and Insys, The Crime of the Century examines the role that Big Pharma played in fueling the crisis.
WIFM, what's in it for me? That's all they're thinking. What's in it for me? Buddy, will you stop talking about the freaking drug? Will you stop talking about saving the patient? Will you stop talking about the science? And will you please tell me what's in it for me? Because you're wasting my time.
And the alleged practices they encouraged to keep people hooked.
When you're in that much pain and you're addicted to that such a high dose, no matter what it is, I mean, you're a trap rat.
The film has already sparked a massive cultural conversation about the widespread use of opioids across the nation and who ultimately bears the responsibility for this devastating national tragedy.
And joining us today is the filmmaker behind The Crime of the Century, Alex Gibney.
Alex, good morning. It's great to see you. I mean, you tackle big topics, and this is a real biggie. But there were so many things that struck us from this documentary, and one is you could see a regular old person who goes in for back surgery, gets some painkillers, and you watch the progression of that person and how it goes from where he started to this dismal end. How tough was it to find those people?
It wasn't that hard. There were a lot of them out there. The hard part was finding people who talk about it, and we did find some of those. And one of the people you referred to started out with tremendous back pain. He was prescribed OxyContin. He got addicted to that. After a while, he couldn't afford it anymore, turned to heroin, and then he turned to illegal fentanyl, which he imported via FedEx from China. And then he became a dealer, kind of like a Walter White character, and now is in federal prison. So there were a lot of stories like this, including some very tragic ones involving overdoses.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, we were talking this morning. I've sat with some kids, some teenagers who suffered sports injuries, and then all of a sudden find themselves addicted to heroin. And so when you started to dig into this topic, what surprised you the most? I mean, we all know people that have died at this point.
Well, really what surprised me the most is the thing that ended up in the title, The Crime of the Century, because we think of the opioid crisis, or we have for years, as kind of like a natural disaster. Isn't it terrible? People are getting addicted to opioids as if it's a kind of a hurricane or a flood or something like that. But upon research and working with the Washington Post and a number of other reporters and finding some secret documents, we learned that actually this was a crisis. It wasn't a crisis at all. It was a crime. And it was a crime that was manufactured by pharmaceutical companies who, under the guise of wanting to sell more and more and more of this pain medicine to increase their market, radically tried to expand demand by telling people that these drugs weren't addictive and couldn't be abused, which was absolutely false. And so that's what we dug into. What surprised me most was that this was a coordinated crime. And in some cases, not only were distributors and manufacturers involved, but so were pharmacies, doctors, Congress, and the Department of Justice even aided and abetted these crimes.
Wow, it's an incredible documentary, Alex, and we're so happy that you're here with us today to talk about it. You did Scientology, you've done a bunch of, you seem to get your thumb right in the middle of it, and you're right in the middle of this one too.
Yeah, thank you so
much. And we should point out that we did reach out to the Sackler family and Purdue, who said in part that they deny the allegations made in the documentary and that their focus is on concluding a resolution that will provide help to people in communities in need, including achieving a global settlement that would deliver more than $10 billion to claimants in communities around the country affected by the opioid crisis. And we also should note that the Sackler family has not been charged with any offenses.
Yeah, as announced by the Department of Justice in 2019, Instance Therapeutics agreed to enter a $225 million global resolution of criminal and civil investigations after pleading guilty to 5 counts of mail fraud and admitting to violations of the False Claims Act.
All right. The Crime of the Century is streaming right now on HBO. and HBO Max.
It's a really important one.
Bob Ross, the iconic artist behind possibly one of the most calming shows to ever air on television, that is The Joy of Painting, is the subject of a new Netflix documentary titled Bob Ross, Happy Accidents, Betrayal and Greed. The doc tells us the untold story of the famous painting instructor's career and the shocking battle over his business empire. And in an exclusive first look at the film, we see the joy Ross felt from teaching new students. Have a look.
Bob liked the thrill of watching a new student smile with a fresh, new, beautiful painting. Bob would just make him so happy, it's unreal. It's like, man, did I do this? I couldn't have. Yes, you did.
There's a lot going on besides painting, and I think people are aware of that and they enjoy that.
I want to know more.
Bob Ross, Happy Accident, what's in the title, Betrayal and Greed. You wouldn't expect those.
Not at all. Turn there, Carson.
That's right.
Welcome to Today All Day.
All day?
Today, all day.
All day. This is a long way of asking who's your favorite character you've ever played?
The unicorn. The unicorn. You gotta have the unicorn.
What is she right there? That's why you're saying all these nice things?
Yeah, she gave me the look. Sorry to disturb your day. Everyone's mad at you, Willie.
Better make this fast. I don't want the wrath of Luna.
When I see you, I always think, I wonder what his quote would be.
Give us 6 minutes and we'll ask as many questions as we can.
Welcome to Cold Cuts. Cold Cut. Cold Cut.
My buddy Cal cooking with me.
Dads don't babysit. It's called parenting.
What was the first book you remember loving?
Heart Smart Today with simple exercises to strengthen your heart.
Make the most of your beach days. It's all about the tracksuit now. How good do they look?
I now pronounce you husband and wife. Kiss the bride.
This morning, a story of people helping people.
You've received tons of letters from people who have been inspired.
Let's do the weather out. Okay. All you gotta do is say, it's cold, it's warm, it's raining, it's snowing. That's it.
One of our most favorite franchises ever, Ambush Makeovers.
Okay.
Look at it. It doesn't look so good.
No, it doesn't.
We're kicking off a new series called Gloving Your Brain with the way sleep, exercise, and diet can affect your risk for Alzheimer's.
I think it's true. I think sometimes you get the right meal and then the next day you pop up and you go, wow, why do I feel so good? What did I do? Or after you exercise, you're clear thinking.
It's so funny. I've told you this, but not on the show. I never thought, and I think this is a really interesting way to teach your kids. I've never really thought about what I put in my body, really. I mean, I did. I ate healthy. My mom was really healthy, but I just thought about really dress size.
I
didn't think about how it affected your health. And there was one morning we were in New Orleans for the show, and I came down to your room at 4, early to do hair and makeup, and you drank this huge water bottle, and I was like, "Do you always do that? Like at 4 in the morning?" And you were like, "Yeah, now try it." Try it, see how you feel. And I drank this huge water bottle.
I remember you chugged it.
And then you go, well, how do you feel? And it was like I know this sounds so simple and makes me sound so naive, but it's such a really easy way to ask yourself. It kind of changed my life.
How do you feel in that moment?
How do you feel about anything? How do you feel about what you eat? How do you feel about what you drink? How do you feel about who you're with? What you do, what you listen to, what you watch. Like,
we just do things, right? And if it doesn't do the trick, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it.
It was so weird because right after that, I was on maternity leave at some point, I guess, with Hal, and I was watching some junk show, and I had the baby in my arms, like that baby Jenna, and I was like, wait, how do I feel about him listening to this? About me taking in this?
Taking it in.
And I've kind of stopped all that.
You know what? It's so true, because I think, like all of us, we're like a steady diet of whatever we put in. And look, I mean, if you judge me by what I ate just today in my dressing room, I'm real gross. I can have Lay's potato chips at 9.
The best part is you have the Lay's potato chips with a little peanut butter there, and I was like, is she gonna dip?
By the way, those are both licked clean. But I don't know why. Like, I'm not even thinking about what I'm doing. I just do it. But I do know that after you do drink that big thing of water, literally you go from foggy brain.
It's true.
To clear. And in our weird morning routine thing, your morning hours are your most important, sadly.
That's the other thing you taught me. It's like you have to wake up early and do your journaling, because if you don't do it then,
right, you're missing
your
part of the
meditation
day.
or your workout, then you're not gonna. When are you gonna do it?
Right, you're not doing it.
diet can play a big part in our ability to stay sharp and may even reduce your risk of cognitive diseases such as Alzheimer's. Here's a look at how the foods we choose can impact our ability to focus and function. We have all felt that dreaded mid-afternoon slump, and it turns out there's a reason for it.
What's happening in the brain when you feel this slump is it doesn't have the fuel it needs. The fuel that you're providing all have an impact on whether or not your brain will be as sharp as it humanly can be.
That fuel comes in the form of food. 20% of the calories you consume go toward brain function, which needs specific nutrients to focus and function fully throughout the day.
What goes into our bodies is almost certainly going to reflect itself in our brains.
We're in an era now where we can get all kinds of processed, packaged foods that aren't necessarily what our bodies have evolved to deal with. To keep our health maximal, what you want to do is eat naturally.
Research shows that people who eat a primarily plant-based diet are more likely to experience brain-boosting benefits, both short-term and long-term.
The clearest evidence of benefit and risk reduction revolves around the MIND diet and the Mediterranean diet, which have both been studied quite well and show good effects.
MIND diet stands for Mediterranean Intervention for Neurodegenerative Delay. It's broken down into a list of healthy foods like leafy greens, beans, nuts, whole grains, fatty fish, having about 2 servings of berries every day actually help to reduce cognitive decline by about 2.5 years.
Of course, there are foods to limit, too.
Things you want to avoid are going to be anything that is high in sugar, refined carbohydrates, so white pasta, white bread, obviously any sugary drinks. You want to limit the amount of overall saturated fat that's coming into your diet, typically coming from meat, animal products such as high-fat dairy, things of that nature.
75% of the brain is made up of water, so what you drink is important too.
Many times when people say they feel drained of energy or they're hungry, they're just dehydrated. Water is really critical as a drink. Coffee is great. Any kind of tea will have benefit.
In the short term, there's no doubt that caffeine improves processing speed and helps with attention. A lifetime habit of caffeinated beverages may be protective against brain disorders later.
Psychologically, people see the effects of a diet shift pretty rapidly. They start feeling better, they start having more energy, and this cascades into all sorts of other things in life, like how happy you are and how well you're sleeping at night. So when people shift their diets so that they're eating well, it really matters.
A brain-healthy diet may also help prevent cognitive diseases like Alzheimer's, which is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. 64-year-old Debbie Morden has a history of Alzheimer's in her family.
My father had Alzheimer's for 12 years. His brother had Alzheimer's, and 3 of his first cousins had Alzheimer's.
Debbie has tested positive for an Alzheimer's gene and is taking a proactive approach. She's seen an Alzheimer's prevention specialist who recommended the MIND diet.
That gene means I have a higher risk of Alzheimer's. I went on basically a vegan diet except for fish. I've cut out dairy and I'm eating more grains and more legumes, increasing olive oil and a daily intake of berries, and also lowered alcohol to 4 ounces of red wine a couple times a week.
After 8 months, Debbie has significantly lowered her cholesterol and hopes her new diet will ward off cognitive deterioration.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Let's go. Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory. Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
So we called up NBC's medical contributor and our pal, Dr. Natalie Azar, to share some tips on boosting immunity. And some of these may actually surprise you.
Yes. Well, I mean, I think we think, okay, we need to go buy a bunch of stuff or, you know, but it's not that. There are things that we can control, like sleep, daily habits, right?
Yes, definitely daily habits. And these are the big three: sleep, exercise, and meditation. Okay. Sleep needs to be a priority. If your age is 18 to 64, you need about 7 to 9 hours. That averages out to 8, everybody. If you're over age 65, it's about 7 to 8 hours. Exercise, about 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity. That means you can still have a conversation. And about 2 days of weight training per week as well. And for meditation, people don't often think about meditating as doing more than just calming you, but decreasing stress and decreasing your blood pressure and your heart rate. Guess what? That relieves anxiety. And when it relieves anxiety, it's good for your immune system.
And meditation is more than just sitting quietly, because I think sometimes you just think, well, I just sat here for 10 minutes and that was good enough.
And then you're thinking
but
about it.
but that doesn't do the trick.
And by the way, like, have you guys done it? I mean, I remember like a couple years ago, Chanel and I were all into really trying to meditate and stuff. I mean, it's mindful meditation, and you have to sit there at least 5 minutes. And every time you're not supposed to be angry when the intrusive thoughts come in, but you're supposed to send them away again.
Nicely.
It's not easy.
Okay.
Food.
Yeah, foods are big, and you need things like, I feel like I want to feel better. And I know, look, at the end of the day, when I feel great at the end, I always try to I think about, like, what did I have? What was it? How did I do that?
Yes.
But how do you get that good feeling?
So here's the thing. You can boost your immune system with food. Now we talk about protecting against COVID and flu and everything like that, and we talk about this well-balanced diet. Well, what are some of the key components of that? Vitamin C. Vitamin C is an essential nutrient, which means we do not make it. You have to ingest it. And I always tell folks, try to do it in food, right? You can do leafy greens and citrus fruits rather than just taking a supplement, because there's so many other benefits to that. Prebiotic as opposed to a probiotic. And the difference here is that a prebiotic is essentially food for the healthy gut bacteria. Your digestion's healthy.
So what's
that's going to
that?
spill over. That's things like asparagus, jicama, banana. All of those things actually contain carbohydrates that we don't digest well. So guess what? If we don't digest it, it finds its way to the bacteria in our gut and feeds it and keeps it healthy. Antioxidants. Think of as colorful as you can get, right? Your plate should be filled with as many colorful fruits and vegetables. There you're going to find your antioxidants. And lastly, allicin, which is the component in garlic that is such a good immune boost. You should either cut or crush or roast your garlic, and you can have some every day if you can tolerate it, or you can take a supplement.
If you don't, because you say you eat all your good stuff, a lot of people just, they go, they get busy and they can't.
And is that the best way to do it?
So most experts nutritionists and things like that, we say try to get your nutrients through food, because you're not just, if you're eating a piece of fruit, you're not just getting the vitamin C, you're getting the fiber, you're getting all the other things. That's why we usually say that. Of course, if you have a vitamin deficiency or you have like bowel disease and you're not absorbing, different story. Then a supplement may very well be necessary for you.
We should look
at. What if you're just busy? Because sometimes you can't eat all the good things all day.
And so yes, so of course, like multivitamins, you're just getting your RDA and things like that. One of the biggest ones lately is curcumin, which is the active ingredient in the spice turmeric. I have been telling my arthritis patients to take it. You asked me. I'm going to start taking it too for my aches and pains. Really can reduce inflammation. A lot of the other ones, we'll kind of go down the list. I think we have it on a graphic here. Ginger, obviously, fish oil, omega-3s, so important. Resveratrol, I want to make a point about this. This is the active component in red wine, but it's also in the skin of blueberries and grapes and things like that. Most of us would say try to get it through those foods. I'm not telling you to drink red wine, but there is some health benefit there. And of course, essential oils.
What are essential oils?
So there are so many of them. We listed a couple here: green tea, lavender, eucalyptus. They also can have anti-inflammatory benefit. And so you say, well, how do you use them? The majority of people do it in a diffuser, right? So you have a lavender scent and you can just sort of smell that. You can also use it as massage therapy, but be careful. Do a patch test first. It has to be diluted. You know, you don't want to, you know, hurt yourself or burn yourself. There's a few that might be indicated to gargle, but for the most part, they're not meant to be taken orally. But they can also really help for things like sleep and stuff like that we're talking about. Exactly.
Dr. Natalie, thank you. We feel better already.
I do.
Do you feel like the bad guy in this? Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in? Has it been worth it to make this trip? Do you feel like you're giving a green light to politicians? How do you explain why your case has become so important?
Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today.
Let's go!
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Controversy in South Lake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory. Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame.
This is South Lake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Do you feel like the bad guy in this? Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in? Has it been worth it to make this trip? Do you feel like you're giving a green light to politicians? How do you explain why your case has become so important?
Jenna, how do you like your bike?
I like my bike. I can't.
Slow down.
I'm going really slow because my
I'm going
pedals.
fast.
But you know what?
Haley calls them jets.
Okay, you're going jets. Bikes have become a hot commodity over the past year and a half. So if you want to get your hands on one, you'll need to know where to start and what bike is right for you.
Lucky for us, Men's Health editor-in-chief Rich Dormant has all the info, all the must-have accessories, plus the rules of the road you need to know. Take a look.
Hey, Hoda and Jenna, Rich Dormant from Men's Health here. There's so many great reasons to get outside and hop on a bike right now. It's an amazing source of exercise. It's good for your mental health. It's a fun way to meet up with friends. And let's not forget, it's a great way to get you where you need to be. When it comes to choosing a bike, there is truly something for everybody. I'm here at Toga Bike Shop in New York City, and we're going to be checking out 3 different bikes based on skill level and activity. The first one that we're going to look at is what we call a Go Anywhere bike. It's the type of hybrid bike that you can go almost anywhere and do almost anything hybrid option that is probably best for most people. It's got a nice medium width tire. It's either got a flat handlebar or something with a slight rise to it. And it's the kind of thing that you can ride on the city street or on an easy trail or light gravel. So the second option we've got is called a gravel bike, and its name pretty much tells you where you want to take it. You want to take it on the gravel or light trails or places where you need a little bit of extra support. The key things here you're looking for are a medium width tire, something with lots of traction on it to grip the ground, and you have these drop handlebars, which allow you plenty of opportunities to really take control of the bike. It's a little bit heavier than your standard bike because you don't want it bouncing around when you're on the gravel. And this is something that's a little bit more advanced, so it's not something you necessarily need if you're a beginner. The third type is called a road bike, and you'll notice these because they have really thin tires without a lot of tread on them, and they let you go really far or really fast. And it's also got this aerodynamic seat so that you don't have a lot of opposition from the wind. Once you've got your bike picked out, there are a few pieces of gear that you need to have to make your ride a whole lot smoother. Here are my must-have recommendations for you. So the most essential piece of gear you're going to want to invest in is a great helmet. You're going to want something with a polycarbonate or really hard shell and a soft foam interior. And something you're going to want to look for specifically is a sticker or a mark that says MIPS on it. That stands for Multi-Directional Impact Protection System. Now this is a really important form of technology that protects your skull all around when you fall. The next piece of gear you're going to want is a handlebar bag. You don't want all of your stuff sloshing around in your pocket while you're riding your bike. You can put your phone in here, you can put your sunscreen in here. You'll want something that's waterproof, something potentially with reflective material on it, and sometimes they even strap off and you can throw them across your body when you're ready to walk. So you spend all this money on a new bike, you want to protect it with a great bike lock. You've got two main options. One is the hard bar like this, which often comes with a key or some sort of numerical coding. The other is a soft, more pliable one that sometimes you can just wrap around your body when you're not needing it. So your head's not the only thing that needs protection when you're out on the roads. Your eyes need to be protected in a few different ways. You'll need great sunglasses, that have UV protection, but also protect you from dirt and dust and all kinds of rubble that kicks up. So the hottest new piece of equipment in bicycling are these bike computers. It's great because you can just put them right on your handlebar, and the interface will tell you where you are, where you're going, the time of day, what speed you're going. It's a really great way of orienting yourself in your space without taking your eyes off the road. And great news for folks who aren't ready to ride outside or who want to go for a ride but it's too cold or rainy. You can pick up one of these trainer stands at your local bike shop or online. You pop your outdoor bike in it and you can ride for as long as you want without going anywhere at all. Before you hit the road, there's some key rules of the road that you need to know. First of all, you always have to be aware of your surroundings. Never text and ride. It's a recipe for a disaster. That said, you want to bring your phone with you. Put it in your bike bag or put it in your pocket. Just make sure you have something in case you run into trouble. You always want to make sure that you're riding with the traffic. And if you're in one of the growing numbers of municipalities or communities that have designated bike lanes, please stick to those. Those are your safest path. To keep everyone safe around you, including yourself, you're going to want to make sure that you're using your hand signals. The good news is that there are only a few key ones you really have to remember. The first is the left hand signal. When you're taking a left turn, with your left arm you want to go like this to signal a left turn. To signal a right turn, you make an L shape like this with your left arm, or extend your right arm like this. And last but not least is stop, to let everyone around you know that you're stopping. And that's taking your left arm, making an upside down L, and shooting your palm out like that. Thanks, Hoda and Jenna. I hope these tips keep you riding smooth. Back to you.
Stop coasting.
You know what? I don't even need to move.
We are ready to ride, babe.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Do you feel like the bad guy in this? Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in? Has it been worth it to make this trip? Do you feel like you're giving a green light to politicians? How do you explain why your case has become so important?
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
It probably comes as no surprise, but we are a sleep-deprived nation. Now, according to the CDC, 1 in 3 adults gets fewer than 7 hours of sleep at night, and 40% get fewer than 6 hours.
And get this, if you're getting less than 5 hours of sleep, your risk for cardiac disease doubles. And if you didn't know this stat, just one sleepless night can trigger a 30% rise in anxiety.
Okay, we're getting anxious thinking about this, so we decided to bring in a sleep specialist to help you rest easy. From RJW Barnabas Health, Dr. Carol Ash, who is actually joining us from a facility that studies sleep. So you're in the right spot, Dr. Ash. So the first question is, is the right, you hear we need 8 hours, 7 hours. Do all people need the same amount of sleep?
Well, the range, Hoda, is 7 to 9, but on average, yes, we need 8 hours. And as you were both suggesting, getting less than 7 hours and not getting the right amount of sleep is really problematic. What happens when you sleep at night, your brain is rewiring and forming new connections between neurons that are critical for thoughts and behaviors, and it's clearing toxins. And so it's helping you be more resilient during the day, and it's helping with learning and memory. So we know that sleep is critical. And the CDC says when you don't get your sleep at night, you are at risk for 10 of the common diseases we know that we struggle with.
So you are in a room that's ideal for sleeping. If we want to set up our room tonight, or our children's room, to make sure that we get the best sleep we can, what should we do?
Jenna, it's really simple. We have to get you to sleep when you show up at a sleep lab, right? So one of the simple things that you can do is make sure that you keep the room the right temperature. Think about it. We're designed to sleep at night. So we fall asleep on a temperature drop, and we sleep in a cooler environment because it's cooler at night. So keep the room cool. 65 to 72 degrees is the perfect range. The exact temperature is unique to you, but keep the room cool. That's tip number one. Tip number two, keep the room dark, right? You sleep at night. So you want to get room darkening shades or use simply an eye mask. Those are things we do in the sleep lab all the time that will keep you sleeping at night.
Some people, when they miss out on sleep, will say, you know what, I'll just make up for it tomorrow. I'll just sleep a lot tomorrow. I had a terrible night tonight. Can you actually make up sleep?
Studies show, Hoda, that you really can't make up on sleep. You can unburden that sleep debt by taking a nap and catching up on sleep. But we know that, again, as you suggested, one night of lost sleep can be problematic. Increases inflammation, and that's what leads to those 10 chronic diseases I mentioned. And the common ones, heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity. We now know sleep is crucial to eliminate and prevent those diseases.
So one of your tips, I think, is taking a hot shower before you go to bed. So tell us about that, and then also what we should do when we wake up in the middle of the night, because I think that a lot of people are waking up.
Yeah. Well, remember, you sleep on a temperature drop and in a cool room. So taking a hot shower warms you up, right? So it relaxes you, so that's helpful. But it also warming you up, so then your temperature will drop, helping you transition to sleep. And when you wake up at night, you don't want to toss and turn in the bed. What I'll tell folks to do is get a journal, write down your thoughts at night, so you can deal with them during the daytime, not struggle with them at night. And if you find that after 30 minutes, you really are still struggling, you can try a relaxation technique where you start with the toes, relax the muscles. That sends signals to the brain. By the time you usually get all the way up to the head, the brain is being signaled, it's fine, go to sleep, and you can relax now.
By the way, your extra tips, we're going to put them on our website because they're all important. We really appreciate you. It's great advice.
Thank you.
As summer is winding down, the kids are heading back to school, which means we're all adjusting to these new routines. We were just talking about this.
Yeah, and those big changes could really mess with our sleep. So we called in our guy, clinical psychologist, Dr. Michael Bruce, to help us out. Dr. Bruce, always good to have you, sir. Here's the thing. You've said before that this pandemic has been absolutely terrible in terms of people's sleep habits. We know that to be true firsthand. Why is it so important to get a good night's sleep, and how many hours should we be getting?
So great questions, Craig. And first of all, I love the white coats. I feel like I'm at a doctor's conference.
Yeah, these guys, and it was planned. Awesome. They talked about it yesterday.
I think they must have.
Friday.
So when we talk about sleep and the importance of sleep, the biggest thing to remember is sleep affects every organ system and every disease state. Literally everything you do better with a good night's sleep. And unfortunately, with the pandemic and quarantine and people in lockdown, our schedules have gotten so thrown off, and it's really having an effect on our overall quantity of sleep as well as the quality of our sleep.
Hey, Doc, so we here at the Today Show, each of us has a set time for sleep. I think I'm a little in better shape for that because I've got a 19-year-old home, and he takes care of his own sleep. But these guys have smaller kids. Yeah. We're supposed to get a set time of sleep, our own set time, but what about getting their kids to sleep as well?
So that's always difficult depending upon the age of the child. To be honest with you, I have a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old who just started to attend college. And let me tell you something, teenagers are the toughest to get to sleep because all they want to do is stay up late and sleep late. So as your child is younger, you want them to have more and more sleep. So toddlers, you're looking at 12, maybe 13 hours. Middle schoolers, you're looking at like 11 to 12 hours. Teenagers, if you can get them to get 10 hours, you'd be in great shape. And as adults, we're looking at somewhere between 7 and 9 hours of sleep per night.
So can you give us some tips to make sure we get meaningful rest? I was just saying it's one thing to get 6 hours, 7 hours, but if you're tossing and turning or you're not, fully at peace. You're wrestling around at night. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Believe it or not, the easiest way to improve sleep quality is to wake up at the same time every single morning, including the weekends. I know a lot of people are like, Michael, I want to sleep in. Yeah. No. Keeping that steady circadian rhythm really works well. I know I've worked with both Al and Craig in the past talking about that, and they're really good at making sure that they get up at the right time every day. That's definitely one thing. Another big thing is to stop caffeine by 2 p.m. You know, many people don't realize it, but caffeine can last in your system for quite a long time. The half-life is 8 hours. So if you stop at 2, 50% is still in your system at 10 o'clock at night. I mean, think about that, right? Yeah. And so really looking at the caffeine consumption is a big one. And then unfortunately, alcohol is a really big problem. Yeah. While alcohol makes us feel sleepy, believe it or not, it's the #1 sleep aid in the world. It is terrible for sleep quality, really lowering that sleep quality quite a bit.
Yeah, margaritas are just, they don't help. I know this. Doctor, I have a question for you, though. A lot of people talk about exercise before sleep, but I'd like to know what exercises are good to sort of get you to have a good night's sleep, but also what time should you exercise?
This is a perfect question. I'm so glad that you asked this. So exercise is the single best way to improve sleep quality. However, if you exercise too close to bedtime, you increase your core body temperature. And remember, our core body temperature needs to go down as we're trying to fall asleep. So give yourself about 4 hours to have completed your workout if you possibly can. I wouldn't say skip your workout, but really try not to have it too close to bedtime because it's gonna mess up your sleep.
But if you want to say skip the workout, we won't argue.
Dr. Bruce, just really quickly, how many hours of sleep do you recommend folks get?
So as an adult, we're looking at probably somewhere between 7 and 9 hours of sleep at night. But the truth of the matter is that you need to look for the right amount of sleep for you, right? So all over the world, some of you guys need only 6, some of you guys may need 9. Depending upon where you are in your lives, it can be very interesting to look at that. A few other things that people can do, consider changing your pillow. Lots of people don't realize it, but you should be changing your pillow about every 18 to 36 months because it's really not giving you the support that you're probably going to need. And my big thing is monitor your sleep. I use a ring to monitor my sleep called the Aura, but there are many different monitors out there. And let me tell you something, when you get data on your sleep, then you can do something actionable about it, like be able to try to improve the quality or change the quantity or know when you're going to get up.
Dr.
Good
Bruce,
advice.
Always great.
Welcome back. Time now for our series On the Job. This morning, NBC's Jacob Soboroff met a man on a mission to change how we look at water. Hey, Jacob.
Hey, Jacob.
At water. Good morning, you guys. You know, water is $1 billion industry in the United States of America. We have more choices than ever before. You might think water tastes all the same, but I met a guy who's going to change the way you think about all that. Watch this.
Deep in the Santa Monica Mountains, a private 4-course dinner prepared by an international chef. But it's not a dry Riesling or a silky Pinot that's being paired on the tasting menu this night. It's water. That's right, regular old water. Meet Martin Riese, America's first water sommelier. And yes, that's his real job. He's out to show people that water has a taste, and he's doing it one sip at a time.
When I was like 4 or 5 years old, I realized that water has taste to me. Because on vacation time with my parents, I realized that the tap water in every single city in Europe tasted differently to me.
Today, he is a fully certified water sommelier, having written books and devised water menus for restaurants all around the world. What do you want people to know who might look at this and say, water is water, this is a little ridiculous?
When you think first, oh, there's a water sommelier, this has to be the most pretentious job on planet Earth. But the bigger picture is to bring attention to water, to really showcase, hey, there's so much value actually to water. We should not waste it, we should be very precious about it.
Martin's water advocacy has led to appearances worldwide, including on Bill Nye the Science Guy and the Netflix show Down to Earth with Zac Efron.
We all need to drink it. We drink it on a daily basis, but nobody actually talks about it. It's kind of crazy.
We decided to give water tasting a try. What happens if I need to go pee is the thing I've been thinking about the whole time.
I have to say, this is the most important thing you have to know. So there are restrooms over there and there are restrooms over there.
Okay, here we go. Ooh, there's a little more of a fuller body.
Yes, I love this that
Is
you're
that
saying
right?
this. I'm always saying it's the oil of water.
It tastes thicker.
Correct.
What's creating that really full feeling?
This is what Mother Nature does. You can taste now the different soils and minerals what's been in that ground.
So
Here in
depending
3
on
ways.
where this was groundwater,
correct,
it's going to taste different.
Yes, absolutely. Farewell from Italy, from
Okay.
Naples. Cheers. Bubbles.
Cheers.
Now it's natural carbonated water.
Here we go. A light bubble to it.
Very good. They're calling it micro bubbles.
So the bubbles occur naturally as well?
Yes.
I didn't ask about smell yet. Wait a minute, what about, do they smell differently or no?
My grandmother survived 2 world wars, and she said when water has a smell, don't drink it.
Don't drink it.
Vichy, the last one today, from Spain.
Vichy. What is that flavor?
Crazy, huh?
Wait a minute. It's something delightful.
I love Vichy.
What is it?
It's a lot of sodium is in this water.
Salty
So
water.
Slightly salty.
I knew it. So it's like, instead of drinking one of those flavored sparkling waters everybody's drinking these days, it almost takes the place of that.
And that's what I think is amazing, that Mother Nature already creates taste.
So no need to have artificial.
You don't need to.
You are
When you were
flipping
able
my
to do
world
this.
upside down when it comes to how I think about water.
Everybody says like it's almost like a life-changing experience.
Martin, thank you very much.
Absolutely, and it's right over there.
Yeah. I gotta pee.
I really did have to go to the bathroom. I have to admit, that's a lot of water to drink. You know, you guys, there's over 100 water sommeliers worldwide. Martin is actually certifying people right now to do his job. And one thing I want to tell you is an admission to make. Today is Noah, my son's first day of school. I'm just going to fill it up with filtered water from the tap.
Okay.
Like that's just...
Hey, so Jacob, if you go to a water tasting, what do you drink to clear your palate?
I asked the same question, Al. He said, water will clear your palate. Just stick with the water and then water and more water.
I was hoping
So
you would say vodka.
I know, right? Do we have something special here? Or is
But,
it
here we go. Oh, this has
What is
such
this?
a minerally taste, and yet it comes across with warm tannins. Thank you so
I'm
much,
telling you,
Jacob.
I promise you, Martin is he is an expert. I will give you that.
And he's got a great accent,
I know.
so you can't beat that. Jacob, thank
All
you
right,
so
Jacob,
much,
thank
my
you.
friend.
Tough work.
That's
You're
right.
a tough assignment.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town, forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse
false narrative of rampant racism.
Shame.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
I once told my dad I have your sense of humor, and my dad said, I know, I want it back.
The bread cubes have to be about this small.
Puzzles Bakery and Cafe, how can I help you? Hi, my name is Sarah May. I'm the owner of Puzzles Bakery and Cafe here in Schenectady, New York. My inspiration for opening Puzzles Bakery and Cafe was absolutely my sister Emily. She's my only sibling and she's now 25 years old and she's on the lower functioning end of the autism spectrum. So she's someone who would never really be work ready. But what I was noticing is she was getting closer and closer to aging out of the education system. Here in New York at age 21, that's when people age out of public education. So she was nearing adulthood, and we were starting to realize what kind of opportunities are available for people with developmental disabilities. I was recently graduated from college and looking for some purpose in my life, and I decided to open a restaurant to help employ people with special needs. Puzzles Bakery and Cafe is an integrated workplace, and that means we have people working here, both who have developmental disabilities and also those who are neurotypical and do not have developmental disabilities. Good, and let's bring that out.
Order for Bruce.
We have a number of different opportunities available here, but on any given day, our employees might be doing things like slicing onions in the back of the house, or bringing food out to customers, identifying that food and delivering it to the correct table.
Here's a Chipotle.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, I'm a cafe attendant. I do everything to help out.
Tim has been with us from day one. He is one of the most enthusiastic workers that you will ever meet.
I also make people happy.
I don't think I've ever seen him have a bad day. I think it's really special that we've had employees who started with us when we first opened and are still here with us today and will probably be employed with us for a very long time.
I really love working with food, because there's nothing that makes people happier than a good meal. I've been working here since the beginning. I feel like I get treated like a person. I've always been treated like less than. People are kind here. People are nice. People treat you with respect. In the service industry, people aren't like that. And especially when you're disabled, it's hard when people treat you like they don't have a brain. But I do.
Another really special task that we have here is creating our signature puzzle piece sugar cookie.
My favorite things to do around here is to make croutons.
It is our original crouton recipe, but Tim has really just enjoyed the process of making croutons, and he's so good at it that whenever he comes in, we say, Tim, you want to whip up a batch of your famous croutons?
I am eyeballing it. Then I'm going to mix it up.
When I was growing up and my family would try to bring my sister maybe grocery shopping or to a restaurant, we never knew if she might have a meltdown or some behaviors out in public. And that's something that families with younger children with disabilities, they might be concerned about. All of our employees are really understanding and trained. They would completely understand if somebody was having a meltdown in a way that might be sort of socially inappropriate elsewhere. It's okay here. Puzzles Bakery and Cafe is a place where everyone fits in. We go out of our way to hire people with special needs, so we do get a lot of applications. Something that's really heartbreaking to me, that there are so many people in our community who want nothing more than the opportunity to be working, and we don't have that many jobs available for them.
They've had so many people tell them that they can't do it, and every day that they come into work here, they're proving them wrong.
My big dream for Puzzles was always to open more locations, because we can only offer so many opportunities here in one location. We're not there yet. I'm one person, I'm 28 years old, I have a new baby, I can't do that. I would love to get to a point where we can help people make that a reality in their own communities. But in the meantime, I think it just takes a really special kind of team to create a social enterprise like what we have here. Take a chance on people with special needs. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. We have some of the most dedicated, loyal, amazing workers here at Puzzles, and I know that all across the country, there are people with developmental disabilities who want nothing more than to be given the opportunity to work.
Just treat people good. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And always save room for ice cream.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate, is this going to work or is this going to backfire?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Let's go. Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
Still to come on the Channel 2 News. Well, the waters are certainly receding now.
Still too close to call.
Lester Holt reporting from Ground Zero, as it's being referred to.
It is, in fact, the taste of freedom. The Haitian people know a little something about resiliency.
What's the biggest risk right now?
Some of the troops who have been proud.
I want to welcome you to the first presidential debate.
In fact, we've been told we can't go any farther. Here are some resilient folks. Let me get in.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Let's go. Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts. Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate, is this going to work or is this going to backfire? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
You want some sauce?
Yeah, he likes sauce.
All right.
I know.
We thank you, sir. God bless you. Come on down. Sometimes mistakes can turn into the best thing, especially when cooking.
Beautiful.
All right, give me a good brush on that, my dear. That's what I'm talking about. My name is Stefan DeArmond. My nickname is the Reverend. I like to say Revy Rev. I was living in Mobile, Alabama when I decided to move back to Charleston. My father had been back and forth in the hospital. And when I came to visit, I really saw how my mom's condition was as far as her sight. She's legally blind, but she cooks and she bakes. It gets a little tough, but you know, it's your parents. You gotta do what you gotta do. I joined the Coast Guard right here in Charleston, and I retired in San Juan, Puerto Rico. 180 Place is the homeless shelter here in Charleston, South Carolina. Little did I know that it would mean so much to me and become such an integral part of my life. When I got here, I didn't have the funds to come in and get a place, pay first month, second month, deposits, and all of that. So I talked to a VA social worker in Alabama, and they told me, well, if you could put your pride aside, I can get you in the shelter. I said, whatever it takes for me to get home to my parents. I was blessed to be able to go to the veterans dorm. This place have saved my life and many others. Being homeless is a different animal. It's not pleasant. You can't sleep with one eye open. So being homeless, you don't get the rest that your body needs for you to be able to be successful or even productive in life. 180 Place has many great programs, including the culinary program, which I went through, which led to why we're here now.
So my job is to take the trainees that come through the program and give them a crash course in how to behave in a kitchen, how to work in a kitchen, how to survive in a kitchen, and turn that into viable income.
Chef Angie Dupree, we have a friendship and a bond that'll last a lifetime.
Southern hospitality to its truest meaning would be something I would use to describe Stefan. Just making everyone feel special that walks into a room.
That's my girl. I've always loved to cook. I used to hang around my mother, my grandmother, and I loved it.
He is the reason this program works. He's somebody I talk about at every orientation now. For every new cycle, when I sit down with them, I tell them about Stefan and how he came in and took this opportunity To him, it was all he needed to really change his life.
I was introduced to Charleston wine and food just right before I graduated from the program. So it was new and exciting to me. I was looking so forward to it. Chef Angie gave us specific instructions. Local, volunteer and work for someone who is local. Here's your opportunity to get yourself a job. And that's what we did. I remember the event was called Toasted, and it was nothing but barbecue. And I walked up, I didn't notice the sign said smoke. I looked at the menu, and I said, I've eaten here before.
We were sitting right next to the band, and the band kicked on, and Stepan lit up. He started swaying and clapping, and he had his black chef coat and his white undershirt. And I said, sir, you've got the spirit. I'm calling you the Reverend, and you're coming to work at Smoke Barbecue. So we hired Stepan on as a steward, and we don't call people dishwashers here at Smoke. We call them stewards because we expect a lot more out of a person than just washing dishes. After a few months, he worked his way up to sous chef and one of our pit masters, and we've been with him ever since.
So one day I was in the kitchen, and I started prepping to do some cornbread. Well, I reached into the walk-in cooler to grab some buttermilk. Little did I know, I grabbed heavy cream. So as soon as I poured it in the mix and started mixing it up, I was like, oh no! Rolling can running. What happened? I said, man, I messed up. And he said, let's go with it, see what it does. Lo and behold, it came out a little bit higher. It came out more moist. It was golden brown. And he was like, wow. We passed the food out so everybody can check it out and say, well or not, we're gonna serve it. And everyone loved it.
It really is delicious, moist cornbread, and it's pretty fantastic.
That gave Roland the idea of he and I going into business. And now we have the Reverend Cornbread Company. I can honestly say that that mistake in the kitchen turned out to be something that's life-changing. And I found out that I'd be teaching a class at this year's Charleston Wine and Food. It was mind-boggling. Look where you came from and look where you're at now. There we go. Go ahead.
I want to do the honey.
Here you go, honey.
Thank you.
For the people that attend the Charleston Wine and Food and their events, they're paying good money. And for them to pay money to see me or have me teach them something, it's amazing. I still can't believe it. What we're gonna do today is we're gonna go down to the Superstop and we're gonna feed the homeless.
It just goes to show you there's nothing wrong with a mistake. It's amazing what happens.
I mean, his story, it gives you hope that, hey, look, just because you're down right now don't mean you stay down.
He took an interesting situation, made it an even better situation, and now it is exactly where he wants to be, helping people and giving back.
Without hope, you don't have anything. 180 Place gave me hope and an avenue, because dealing with what I had to with my parents, to do something that I really love, which is cooking, it was a relief. You know, it was my safe haven. To see people get satisfaction of something that I've created is one of the best feelings ever. When I reflect on what I'm doing, I think about my parents. Just like any child, they would want their parents to see them succeed. But my mom would say, you keep doing what you're doing. It gives me a sense of pride. I swell with pride just to see the smile on my mother's face. And it was a great feeling. It was a great feeling.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate, is this going to work or is this going to backfire?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today.
Let's go.
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I serve an amazing group of staff and students.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts. Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate, is this going to work or is this going to backfire? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Most people, if they ask what I do, I say I'm a professional competitive lumberjill. I cut and saw wood for speed in a competition atmosphere.
One, go.
It's not just beefy men, it's badass chicks. My name is Tracy Henning, and I am a lumberjill. A normal day in the middle of my season is wake up, get Drake ready, get him to daycare, go to work, try to do something with him that's like mommy, Drakey time, and then I go to 2 different gyms depending upon classes. I started competing in college in 1999. I started the professional circuit in 2001, and the coolest feeling was like little girls would come up and they'd be like, you do that? Like, I just thought guys did that. I'm like, yeah, like we can do it. And hopefully like little girls can see it and know that like they can do the same thing that the guys can. As far as training for events, if I'm not in the gym mentally like going through the motions of the event, I'm out there doing the event. So I'm chopping, I'm sawing, I'm stock sawing, throwing the axe. The best way to practice is really just to do the event. It was a lot easier to prepare for competition without a toddler. When I first found out I was pregnant, I just gotten back from Sydney. I was on the US team, and I found out shortly after it was like my miracle pregnancy, so everything was scary. I was told I wasn't gonna have kids. I competed all the way up till October, and then he was born in December. So I pretty much did the entire season. I had to see my doctor more often, and she kept going, how much longer do you really want to do this? And I'm like, until I can't anymore, until you tell me I cannot. Like, that's part of a word. There's definitely like times where I would like break down and like question everything. Like maybe I should just give this up because I'm his mom and I'm supposed to be the one that is potty training him and teaching him things, and I want to do those things, but it's such a conflict because I still want to be Tracy Henning and Drake's mom, and sometimes that's like super hard. Balancing motherhood and marriage and everything is very difficult. My first competition back after having Drake, I got a single buck world record. It was so awesome because I was breastfeeding, I was like, holy crap, I'm competing, and I've got a teeny tiny baby, and then I walked out there and broke the world record.
She was for quarreling, we do not allow, and hearts or rivers, the Lord say you bow.
In Hayward, I usually always make it to the finals, which is a huge accomplishment because you have to compete Thursday to qualify for Friday to qualify for the finals on Saturday. So, you know, one slip up is really all it takes, and then you're out of it. I'm still in it enough that I show up to a competition and people are like, oh great, she's here. which is a good feeling. I I don't want people not to like me, but I also don't want to just be looked over. I would say the earlier years of me coming here, I had a different headspace. I felt like I could focus more. I had my routines, I had my certain breakfasts, my warm-ups, my stretches, down to my clothing. Hi, buddy. And now it's like this. You got to go back to Daddy for a little bit, Bob. Can you listen to me and go play on the playground, please? I love you. Have fun with Daddy. So it is different because I have like my mommy mode, and like it's really hard. Like even when I was training, it's very hard for me to be like in it and angry and hungry and just wanting to rip stuff apart, and then a simple like smile from Drake will snap me out of it. I've had it where like I was like puffed up and ready, and then he's like, "Mommy, can you help me put my shoes on?" And it was just the sweetest thing, and I was just like, "Of course, baby, like I got you." You go from this like I'm gonna kill it to like, no big deal, buddy. I can feel the anxiety starting to build up as we get closer to the event. I like to get myself ready and set so that I'm not racing around right before the events. We've had enough family time, now it's time to start getting our equipment ready. My head right now is like starting to get the anxiety. I can feel it in my stomach, like okay, let's get going. Because today it's top 6, that's it. You have one shot to get number 1. There's no more second chances after this. I'm getting up there in age, and I feel like some people are like, when are you gonna retire? But there's still a fight left in me, so I'm not ready to retire. I think what keeps me going is that I think ultimately I want Drake to be able to be proud of me when he gets older. Like, my mom did this. My mom was awesome. She was on national stages. She won world records. I want him to be proud, and that's what keeps me going.
Oh my gosh, look at those beautiful people. We love that you're tuning into our favorite streaming channel. It's Today All Day.
Order copy. We're halfway through the week.
We are?
Hump day, baby.
Okay.
Hump day. This is Today in 30, and we have a packed half hour ahead for you.
We're going to start off with Facebook.